Welcome to the 2000 World Series.
Some of the kids who witnessed this 2000 Subway Series will have memories of a lifetime. Derek Jeter starts it with a bang. Something that we all grew up listening to from our parents, even our grandparents. Subway Series.
This ball club comes to play, and I don't think there's any ball club that I'm more proud of than this one. Right now, I don't think anything can top what this feeling is. Get up, baby, get up!
And the Mets have won it in a thriller.
230-plus days in the making. Same ballpark, same teams. The rematch, the Subway Series Light. Over at the house that Mac built, here comes trouble with a capital W, as in White Sox and Wells. Both say Chicago is their kind of town. And hey, it's Fat Albert. P-H-A-T, that is. The legend grows as the St. Louis talent Pujols run it over. And you can understand why the Cardinals get mush mouth talking about that kid. Hi, everyone. Welcome inside the Fox Network Center. Nah. We're going to have a good time. Kevin Kennedy, the Fat Albert theme. Jeannie Zelasco, proud up until about a moment ago to bring you the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week. And as always, the game within the game. We've been talking about this leading up to the Subway Series, trying to get past the whole Clemens Piazza thing. And Don Zimmer comes out and calls Mike Piazza a little man.
Now, you know we can't get past this. Don Zimmer's from the old school, and Don Zimmer, of all guys, has a right to say anything about getting hit in the head because he was hit several times in the head during his career. As a matter of fact, he has a metal plate in his head to this day. I think part of the problem goes back to when Clemens did hit Piazza. Roger Clemens, after the game, told me he tried to call Mike Piazza on the phone and apologize. Apparently, the call was not accepted. I think that's what's kept this thing festering pretty well.
That and maybe the fact that Bobby Valentine comes out and says, oh, yeah, we might have had some problems. Anyways, we try to move on. The Reds were able to. They fielded their projected starting lineup for the first time all season Friday, and guess what? It did include Ken Griffey Jr. What do you know? Off the disabled list with that nasty torn hamstring. He said it's not full strength. And neither was that swing, but, you know, he got a single in 3 at-bats. We have to feel good about that. Kevin, he checked out in about the 6th inning when the rain started to come down. Once to avoid further injury, you can understand.
Hey, well, rains mean a slick surface right there. Bob Boone's doing the right thing. You've got to protect this guy. You wouldn't believe that June 16th that this guy would only have 1 base hit. 0 for 12 as a pinch hitter. Probably should have been on a DL from day one. You got to protect him because he plays defense in that outfield and center field. He steals a lot of bases, likes to run the bases. He's a complete player, so Bob Boone does have to protect him right now.
But you know what they say, one man's pain is another man's opportunity. And truer words were never spoken when you talk about Albert Pujols. The final week of spring training, Bobby Bonilla went down with a hamstring injury. Voila, Pujols makes the Cardinals roster.
Pujols rams one to left center. See you later.
I think he cranks out tough at-bats, the best on our team. I mean, every time up there, he doesn't ever look different.
Volleyball, he always tell me, they don't know, you just be aggressive, you know, just try to be aggressive, don't take no pitch. If they throw you a pitch that you can drive, you know, just don't take it, just swing. And I think that's the idea right now.
Right now, he's probably one of our best situation hitters. You know, get a guy on second base, he gets the ball to right field better than anybody.
It's always better when you have a great game, your team win too, you can celebrate better.
And they say in St. Louis, the only thing that's rookie-like about this kid is his ego because he still approaches this game with such a fresh attitude.
Well, the thing is, Jeannie, he's only 21 years old. He only played A-ball last year. Normally a guy like that, you see him in AAA, then he makes a jump to the big leagues. But A-ball all the way to the big leagues, basically, that's unbelievable. And then it's more unbelievable that he's 4th in the league in home runs, 3rd in batting average, 3rd in RBIs. He's a phenomenal player. And he all got this opportunity because Mark McGwire at one point was out, but now Big Mac's back as well.
And it's this double attack now with Pujols hitting home runs as well, making progress. But like the Mets team in general, Edgardo Alfonso was not making the progress he needed. So the all-star second baseman and his ailing back has become an innocent bystander in this weekend's series at Shea. The lower back's been a problem for weeks. The trip to the disabled list means he'll finally get the time to rest. Orlando Hernandez is resting comfortably after successful toe surgery Friday. In 6 to 8 weeks, the foot he lands on while releasing a pitch should be good as new. Now the Yankees can focus on Andy Pettit's problem. He was pulled early from his 2nd straight start Friday because of a strained groin muscle. Sent directly to the DL where he's joined by David Justice and his strained left groin. Kevin.
This is right. June 8th last week, Andy Pettitte against the Atlanta Braves. Watch the left leg. It's the groin area, the left leg right there. You see him twinge, little twinge right there, kind of feeling it out. Didn't feel good. Joe Torre backed him up again until last night. Now, he decided not to put him on the deal. A pitch last night. Yep, he feels it again. And if you don't believe that you need your legs, ask Roger Clemens a couple of years ago. He had a problem with it. He told Eddie Pettit, hey, take your time with this. And that's a big injury to have him out of the lineup. Another guy, David Justice. This guy single-handedly really put them in the playoffs and the World Series last year. Clutch after clutch base hit, especially against the Seattle Mariners to get the Yankees into the World Series. They're going to miss David Justice as well.
They will miss his offense. And if you want offense, we have offense. You've come to the right place. Barry Bonds with a bat in his hand. Somebody rolled the camera. We have the pictures. The Battle of the Bay, bottom one. Nobody scored until Barry gets up there.
Well, freeze frame the location, talking about pitchers. That's up and out over the plate. And opposite field this time for Barry Bonds. Most of his home runs this year have been to right field. Like this one right here, Gene on Mulder again, breaking ball down and in. Again, missing location. 2 home runs last night for Bonds.
And keeping track here, that was 35 and 36. But anything you can do, I can do better. Big Mac speaking out this week. Oh, yeah. Barry has 50 home runs, or hasn't had 50 home runs at all in a season. So what can he do? Big Mac attacking on a Friday.
He can come back by hitting a couple of home runs last night. There was one to right center and then a curveball down in. Big Mac to left field this time. And he's got Pujols, I believe, hitting behind him. That's pretty good protection, huh?
It's going to be fun. The reigning National League MVP, Jeff Kent, by the way, provides protection behind Bonds, but the walks keep coming. Bonds is on pace to walk 142 times this year. That would still be 20 fewer than Mark McGwire had to overcome during that historical run of 98. You have to enjoy the competition between these two guys, as Max says. Okay, let's see what you've done here in a few weeks. Of course, Barry Bonds, his team more than likely will be in contention down the stretch. He'll have to face more pressure.
Well, I keep thinking maybe he's not going to get any pitches to hit, but you see all the mistakes, and he's hitting every one of them out of the ballpark. 36 home runs already by the All-Star game, July 10th. This guy's going to have over 40 home runs, and nobody's ever done that.
Wow, the home run continues to capture our attention, but did you know it can help save lives? Thanks to a program called Cap Cure. It's Father's Day week. You can make a pledge for each home run hit. It's up to $30,000 now. The money goes to find a cure for prostate cancer. 1-800-547-CURE. Keep that in the game. Coming up next, don't look now, but the White Sox are back just in time for a clearance sale. That's what Kevin Kennedy went to Chicago to find out. All Georgia's children, the young and the restless Mets. How did the Big Apple boys turn from the World Series into a daytime drama series?
When the Mets play the Yankees, it's like Festivus in June!
Fly away from this dirty boulevard. I want to fly, from the dirty boulevard. I want to fly from the dirty boulevard. I want to fly from the dirty boulevard.
When last we saw Mr. Steinbrenner, he was barricaded behind the door of the visitors' clubhouse at Shea, refusing to let the party planners in until the final out of Game 5 of the World Series. He would celebrate no championship before it's time. Of course, if the season ended today, neither side would be invited back. Now these are the days of their lives. 8 months removed, the boss still can't let his thoughts travel too far into October, but for other reasons. We really haven't hit it all, says George. From Jeter to Justice to Knobloch, they're not hitting. Martinez is not hitting. I don't blame the pitching, he says. I blame the hitting. I can't hit for those guys. How'd you like to read that memo from your boss? Walk away from the leg. Justice, Glenn Allen Hill, Denny Nagel, Jose Vizcaíno, and Luis Sojo came to town. The Mets were outscored and outclassed last October, but they won't be out-dramaed for this rematch. Bobby Valentine is reaching the end of his rope with his club, too. Unlike the boys cross town, he points the finger directly at himself. I haven't been able to convince them that they are good enough, he says. Apparently, the Yankees added insult to injury when they also outspent the Mets. Valentine claims his club lost faith when A-Rod and Mussina weren't signed. The outfield by committee, formed when Jay Payton and Benny Agbayani got hurt, has struggled with a serious power outage. Going weeks without Edgardo Alfonso and Al Leiter didn't help either. Speaking of pain, try watching Mike Piazza stuck alone in the middle of the order with little to no protection. His safety net is Todd Zeile, who's hit 2 home runs. Mike Hampton has more than twice that number. Did someone say Hampton? Yeah, that one got away. Steve Traxel and Kevin Avier together can't fill his shoes. The Mets will have to play 700 ball the rest of the way just to finish with 90 wins, which explains why co-owner Nelson Doubleday says he wishes they could just restart the whole season. He wants a mulligan? Not that one, but while we're on the subject of dogs, remember the Mets adopted Anthem last fall? Someone better find those pooches soon. This team could use a lot more bite. Now, remember, it was 2 seasons ago that the Mets used a Subway Series to really turn things around. So they're not giving up the ship, Kevin. Steve Phillips saying, hey, we're not yard sailing yet. We're going to try to keep the ship together.
Well, that's how GMs talk right now. They're 10 games back, but wait till the July 10th All-Star break. That's kind of the move that I use to see if we're going to sell some players off or not. If they're about 6 or 7 games back, yeah, they'll keep their guys. If they're back to 15, 16 games, you might see them trade some guys off, and then the 31st deadline in July, of course.
Well, another 2000 playoff team that got off to a pretty bad start that's starting to show some signs of life, the White Sox. What's at the bottom of this?
The White Sox have been the forgotten team with the Twins playing so well and the Cleveland Indians, but the Sox have come of life, and all of a sudden they're on a roll. Last year, the White Sox had the best record in the American League, and they went to the playoffs. This year, they started off terribly, and everybody was counting them out until recently. The Sox are back in the race again, and there's a lot of believers right here on the South Side.
Last year, like you said, was a magical year for us. A lot of things went our way. Now, this year's been a little different. We lost Frank Thomas for the year. We've lost Jose Valentin. We lost Herbert Perry. All kind of things have gone wrong. But I thought it was an excellent opportunity for somebody else to start taking the cross, right, so to speak. And that's what happened. Jose began to speak his mind, be a little bit more opinionated, so to speak, and it was a good thing.
Everything was going backwards to us, and we was feel like we was trying too hard to get out, and that was something that we was making worse everything. And then, you know, there was a problem against David Wells and Frank about that comment that he made. You know, the press was getting real hard between those two guys, and the fan was booing us, and I mean, it's like everything was getting so hard.
You know, I made some statements, not really directing it towards anybody, just throwing it out there, playing hurt. And I think that a lot of people took it further than what it was supposed to be. And you know, to me, it wasn't really taking a shot. I think Frank's a great guy. He's a great player. The thing is that I didn't know the extent of his injury, and you know, and it got out to be, you know, something that shouldn't have been.
You guys have had a good stretch here, 3.5 weeks. Do you feel like now you're playing like the team that you're supposed to be, that you guys are for real now?
I think so. I think basically, you know, realizing that, you know, we lost those guys and we needed to pick it up a step, and, you know, we came back together as a team, and, you know, I think we're right where we were last year.
I think we're playing any harder now than we were early on. It's just that, you know, early on it wasn't clicking. We weren't playing bad. We were just getting beat. But we got 100 games left, so we're going to give it a shot and see what we can do.
Question is, will it be with or without the race?
I've been hearing it for a couple weeks now of being traded. You know, it's something that it's out of my hands. If they were going to do something, the deal probably would have been done. You know, George is a powerful man. If he wants something bad enough, he's going to get it. And, you know, obviously he doesn't want it bad enough because he would have already done it. And, you know, but I'm happy. Chicago's a great town.
My kind of town, Chicago.
I personally believe it's going to be with the race, David Wells. I don't think the Sox are going away. Ordonez is swinging the bat now. Carlos Lee's swinging the bat. They're all in the same cylinder right now. They've gotten past the Frank Thomas, David Wells incident a month ago. This club is for real. They're playing extremely well. They're getting young pitching up there. And I talked to one high-ranking official, Gene, and he said, hey, we are not going to trade David Wells right now. We're 10 games back. We've won 16 out of 20. So the Sox are making their move right now.
All right, but this might have been before Andy Pettitte went on the DL. And George was telling everybody he'd have David Wells in a Yankees uniform pitching by Sunday.
Well, I talked to Jerry Vanion, and he said, hey, well, we trade David Wells if we'll get Derek Jeter in return. Yeah, right, not.
I don't know. George might have given away Jeter at the beginning of the week. We saw that memo, right? Hey, as Paul Konerko put it, we've only just begun to battle back. Coincidentally, we've only just begun a great Saturday of baseball. Some of you will get to see a red-hot White Sox team in St. Louis. Others will get the always heated Battle of New York as the Subway Series newcomers face off. Although Kevin Avier says he already has a hatred of the Yankees. Enjoy. We'll be here for you.
I like New York in June. How about you? I like New York in June. How about you? I like a Gershwin tune.
Network Center, but now it's time to head out to Shea Stadium. The big game, the Subway Series continues. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver have the call.
Baseball fans flocking to Flushing, and you're watching Major League Baseball on Fox, presented by Radio Shack. It's interleague baseball this weekend, and on a Saturday, a rematch of last year's World Series matchup, the New York Yankees and the New York Mets. And welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. Tim McCarver in just a moment. A matchup of two teams who, to this point in this season, have been disappointing. However, it's all relative in New York. The Mets recently have stopped their free fall, but the question is, do they have the ingredients to make serious ground up in the National League East? And for the Yankees, they're only 2 games out, but their starting pitching is in disarray, and the question is, will they make a deal here shortly to try to add to that starting rotation? Welcome in my partner, Tim McCarver, and we get a matchup today of 2 starters who get their first taste of this series in Mike Messina and Kevin Appier. Outside of that, what should we expect from the Yankees trying to beat these Mets today?
Well, the one reason that the Mets have run amok this year is that the opposition has been running a lot, and the Yankees no exception. Last night, 4 stolen bases, 2 by Alfonso Soriano. The Mets lead, or the Yankees lead the majors in stolen bases with 75. The last time they led the majors in that department, 1938. And keep in mind that Mike Piazza has thrown out only 1 runner since May 22nd. Alarming.
And he's in there day game after a night game. Well, this is one of those easy ones. You just sit back and you watch. We're in the booth. We're in New York. It's the Yankees and Mets. It's interleague baseball presented by Radio Shack, and it comes your way next.
Ball presented by Radio Shack is brought to you by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, we keep America running. By your neighborhood 7-Eleven store. Oh, thank heaven for 7-Eleven. And by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
And we welcome you back to Shea Stadium for this game 2 of what is a weekend 3-game series between the Yankees and the Mets. There's the Mets starter, Kevin Appier, just now making his way into the dugout. So we are a couple of moments away from the start of this. And there's a guy who doesn't like this series at all. Joe Torre considers this a pain in the neck, coming across town to play the Mets when it's not October. And the Mets, Appier arrives in the dugout, hits the eject button, and they all come blowing out onto the field. And we're glad you're with us. Talk about Joe Torre and about his opinions on interleague baseball, and in particular this series with the Mets, where he played, where he managed. I think it's interesting when you consider all that he does as manager of the Yankees, and it's not new ground, but we've seen a lot of examples of it this year, and I think that's one of them, where he deflects a lot of the attention and a lot of the pressure onto himself. Messina was another example of that. Hold on for a second. When Mike was scheduled to face Pedro Martinez 3 consecutive starts, he said it's too much for him. I'm going to take him out of that situation. He won't start that Monday makeup game. The same with Roger Clemens and the situation with him pitching here at Shea. Why would he, as the manager of the Yankees, put Clemens in a situation here at Shea where the Mets have nothing to lose going up there facing Clemens, and put Roger in a situation where he's not comfortable on the mound and certainly not comfortable at the plate?
You know what,
he put it on himself.
You know what my suggestion was to him yesterday? Pinch hit Clemens in this series. He roared.
Let's do the lineups. The starting lineup for the New York Yankees, presented by Radio Shack. Chuck Knobloch will lead it off. He's the left fielder. Derek Jeter batting second at short. Paul O'Neill hits third and right. A .338 career hitter here at Shea Stadium. Bernie Williams has been absolutely on fire. He cleans up. He's in center field. Tino Martinez at first. Jorge Posada the catcher. Scott Brocious, Alfonso Soriano, and Mike Messina pitching and batting ninth. Here's the defense for the New York Mets. 7th in the National League in fielding percentage. They've got a 6-time Gold Glove Award winner over at third base, tied for third most all time, and he continues to be that vacuum over at third base. He's had trouble with the throwing arm, but those seem to be behind him. And on the mound is the right-hander, a free agent pickup by these New York Mets, Kevin Appier.
Kevin has pitched very well recently. The last time the Yankees saw Appier, it was as a starter with the Oakland Athletics when the Yankees faced the Athletics for the divisional championship, divisional play last year. Two types of sliders, deadly versus right-handed batters. Consider the fact that for his career, right-handers have batted only .225 against Kevin. And one of the reasons, that funky, uncoiling delivery that he has. Almost like you mentioned how the players exploded out of the dugout. Kevin Appier explodes out of that little ball of fire, and his windup in particular, very, very effective from the windup.
When I was in high school and I was asked, I was under pressure to come up with a date for the prom. I shot high. I went after a star. I went after one of the best on the other side of the fence. I didn't get her. And I'd go to the second rung. Didn't get her. I usually ended up with the third or fourth selection. I went to prom. The reason why I bring this up is the New York Mets were shooting at re-signing Mike Hampton. They didn't get him. They heavily courted Mike Messina, who's pitching against them here today. Bobby Valentine, Piazza, and other players called Messina to try to get him to come here to Shea and be a Met. They ended up with a big contract in the lap of Kevin Appier, and he's a very good pitcher, a 15-game winner from a year ago, as was Mike Hampton, but they are at different stages in their careers. And they ended up with Kevin Appier. They ended up with Steve Traxel. They didn't get the top two guys that they wanted, and it's showing.
Mets overpaid for their corsage. However, they at least got some flowers.
First pitch is a strike on the inside corner to Knobloch, with Jeter and O'Neill to follow. Kevin Appier has been pitching very well of late. 49 strikeouts in his last 40 1/3 innings pitched. An ERA of 1.60 in his last 4 starts. However, he's only 2-2 during that time, and Knobloch leads it off with a base hit.
I'm gonna talk about it. I talked to Bobby Valentine early this morning, and I said, Bobby, it's no secret, Mike Piazza, 24 of 25 have stolen against Piazza since May 22nd. I said, will you pitch out today? He said, that's always an option. I said, you don't worry about getting behind the hitters, pitching out early in the count and early in the ball game. He said, not with Appier on the mound. So we'll see if Piazza pitches out here in the first inning.
These games between the Mets and Yankees have been tight. The Yankees have won the majority of them, including 4 of the 5 played in last year's World Series. 1 on, nobody out. Knobloch draws a throw. The last 10 games, including the World Series between these two clubs, have been decided by 2 runs or less. 3 of the 4 wins by the Yankees in the World Series were by 1 run. But the Yankees have dominated this series of late, and in those last 10 games, 2 runs or less, the Yankees have won 8 of them. And little things like base running play a large part in tight games. 1 on, nobody out. Jeter showing bunt as he did last night. He takes a ball low. Since 1997, including the World Series, there are the numbers. You see 16 wins in the 24 games played, and the bottom line, the Yankees have won 8 of those 10 games decided by 2 runs or less. That's on the corner, 1-1.
You know that delivery, Webby, where he jumps at the hitter? All right.
Derek Jeter, only 13 hits in his last 69 at-bats. He's hit in the last 5 games, but they have been spread out. That's down and in, 2-1.
Kevin Appier kind of jumps at the right-handed hitter. That's where we were talking about exploding out of that little coiled ball of a stretch or a windup. Good running situation right here. Have every reason to believe the Yankees will send Knobloch.
On 2-1. He goes. Ground ball to short. Ordonez steps, throws, double play. Runner going. That led Ordonez right to the bag. 2 out, nobody on.
Sometimes by running, you position the middle infielder where it can turn the double play. Ordonez may have turned it anyway, but since he was covering with Knobloch running, it made it very easy.
And now with the bases empty, it's Paul O'Neill. 264 average, 34 RBIs. Apier trying to pitch around a leadoff hit. 2/3 of the way there as O'Neill takes a bender in for a strike. Kevin Apier originally up with Kansas City in '89. He's one of the best pitchers in the history of the Kansas City Royals, the short history of the Kansas City Royals. 18-game winner back in 1993. Shoulder surgery in '98. That's on the corner. O'Neill doesn't like it. He's in the hole 0-2. Paul O'Neill, who had one of the most important at-bats, and he had many of them, but one of the most important at-bats in last year's World Series. A 10-pitch effort against Armando Benitez in Game 1 that led to a come-from-behind victory in extra innings. Another 0-2. Hard hit right at Zeal. Apier gets through the first half inning here at Shea. Now it's Mike Messina's turn. Yankees take the field, no score. Well, Mike Messina goes to work. Mike Messina has a record of 5-7. Last year was under the 500 mark while pitching for the Baltimore Orioles, but he had terrible run support. And that really has been the case of late. He's been matched up against Pedro Martinez a couple of times this season. Last time out, a 4-1 loser against Greg Maddux and the Atlanta Braves. And let's take a look at the starting lineup for the New York Mets, presented by Radio Shack. Timo Perez will lead it off in right field. Benny Agbayani bats second. Robin Ventura hits third. Then in the middle, Piazza, Zeal, Shinjo's come up with one big hit after another for these Mets. Relaford is the second baseman. Alfonso's on the disabled list. Ray Ordonez, the shortstop, and Kevin Apier pitching and batting ninth. How about the defense for the New York Yankees? That has been a problem. 12th in the American League in fielding percentage. Tino Martinez has not been a culprit. No errors in his last 73 games. So that dates back to last year as the Yankees are playing their 66th of the season. And on the mound is Mike Messina, who's 5-7.
Sometimes it's not how you pitch, but when you pitch. And Mike Messina has happened to pitch when the Yankees offense has been shut down. Not all the time, but about 70% of the time.
Perez with a 2-hopper to Soriano. 1 out. You can still see, and I don't see the Yankees on a daily basis like you do, but you can still see that Soriano is not all that comfortable with that throw from second base. He kind of guides it a little bit. I know you'll do the scouting report here, but he didn't look too comfortable yet.
He's a work in progress. Mike Messina from the windup holding the opposition to a 201 average, but from the stretch 150 points higher. That's right, a knuckle curve and a knuckle change. We'll talk about it throughout the early innings. And east-west effectiveness. He is an inside-outside pitcher instead of up and down.
Benny Agbayani gets one over the outside corner for strike 1. You know, I didn't even look at the scouting report you just gave or hear a word that you just said. But is Smart on your scouting report?
Yeah.
It's definitely a factor with Mike Messina, a guy who graduated from Stanford in 3 years, and like Joe Torre has said about Greg Maddux, where you really pitch he pitches with his mind more than just the arm, and you're really trying to battle that mind. That's the same with Messina.
And Mike received the perfect degree for a free agent, economics.
I'd say he did well.
Yes.
No balls, 2 strikes on Agbayani. 2 out. You talk to different pitching coaches around baseball as you watch Messina blow one by Agbayani, and they'll tell you that Messina has the ability to do just that. Blowing 90+ mile-an-hour fastball by a hitter, yet you might put him in the category of a finesse type pitcher because he's got great command of all of his pitches. He throws strikes. He's not just a thrower. He's thinking out there, but he does have that ability to get it by a hitter as he misses the outside corner to Robin Ventura.
Now you saw that 0-2 pitch to Agbayani to get Benny, and now coming out to Ventura and just missing away. That's what we meant when we talked about east and west as opposed to up and down.
Ventura pops it up. That was quick and easy if somebody can be on the receiving end of that. It's Jeter, and it's a 1-2-3 first inning for Mike Messina. Quick start to this one. 1 inning in the books on a Saturday afternoon at Shea Stadium. Pop up the opposite way, no score.
Saturday Baseball, presented by Radio Shack. Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers.
Second inning now, and Kevin Apier, who allowed a leadoff hit to Knobloch. A double play ball followed, and then O'Neill grounded out. We'll deal with Bernie Williams, who has been really, at least lately, the only consistent hitter in this Yankee lineup. Then Tino Martinez and Jorge Posada, who could also fall into that category. And his RBIs, Posada's good enough for 8th in the American League with 52. But this offense has been sputtering along. George Steinbrenner started to name names in the press. Bernie Williams was not on that list. Jeter, Knobloch, Justice, Tino Martinez were. That's low for ball 1. First 28 games, Bernie Williams was one of the guys struggling. The last 24, .389. On base percentage, slugging percentage, best average in the major leagues during the month of June. And it's 2-0.
Baseball, from an offensive standpoint, is a season of many streaks. Guys get hot for a couple of weeks. The one thing, obviously, that you hope for is that 4 or 5 of your hitters get hot at once. That has not happened to the Yankees thus far, but still only 2 games behind the Boston Red Sox. And Shane Spencer should help this ball club enormously.
That is hammered into center field. Shinjo back, and it's gone. Bernie Williams, number 10.
There's no way to get Bernie Williams out consistently right now. This ball on the outside part of the plate just hammered to center field. 8th home run of the year given up by Apier, and the first run scored against Kevin in the last 17 innings.
Now Tino Martinez takes a breaking ball low. Tino hitting .259 with 9 home runs. This is capture week. Tino took a strike, 1-1. With that home run hit by Bernie Williams, another $30,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research. And the number, 1-800-547-CURE. 1 ball, 1 strike. Martinez out in front, strike 2.
When a switch hitter gets hot, it's almost doubly tough for the opposition because you can't get a guy like Bernie Williams to bend on a pitch. You can't knock him back off the plate. You can't get him to bail out. He's gone 61 at bats now, his last 61, and he struck out exactly once.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
It does not matter where the pitch is. If it's in the strike zone, he can handle it. This pitch, not a bad 2-0 pitch. Bernie Williams on the sweet part of the bat to put the Yankees on top.
Tino Martinez strikes out, 1 away in the second. There's so many issues involved with these two teams, and it seems like there always are so many issues with the Yankees and the Mets. You look at the Yankees starting rotation. Heck, you look at the Mets starting rotation. The Mets have had guys underperform. The Yankees have had guys injured. Last night in the 4th inning, Andy Pettitte had to leave straining that groin muscle again, and he had done that a week ago Friday as well in a start against Atlanta. They've had to put him on the disabled list. They already have Orlando Hernandez on the disabled list. He had surgery on his foot, that left foot, his landing foot, and they hope he'll be back in August. 1 ball, 1 strike on Jorge Posada. You look at the week ahead, though, for the Yankees, just looking at their game notes. Sunday at the Mets, Ted Lilly. Monday at Detroit, Roger Clemens. Tuesday at Detroit, Randy Kiesler. Wednesday at Detroit, to be announced.
Could be Adrian Hernandez, who was called up when Pettitte was put on the DL.
Posada hits one to center field. Shinjo back at the track, 2 out.
Willie Mays told me once that Shea Stadium was the toughest center field to play in the major leagues. The reason is you can pick up nothing from the flag. The flag in center field is blowing toward the right field line. And you'd think that that would hold the ball up. I don't think the wind really had an effect on that ball. I think it was hit a little above the trademark. Posada didn't get all of it. No way to gauge the wind here at Shea.
Ball 1, low and away to Brocious. You like it when people say you can see the wind. You can see the wind blowing.
Watch the wind.
Right.
Watch the wind.
Now that's a home run. Goodness. 1 ball, no strikes. Brocious took it low. It's 2-0.
Willie Howard Mays, pretty good player.
Yeah, I'll say.
Oof. Ended his career right here in Shea Stadium with the 1973 Mets.
So that plaque up there honoring Tommy Agee, who passed away this past year. A tremendous Game 3 in the 1969 World Series with the 2 catches, the home run, and a big part of the Miracle Mets in 1969. 3 balls, no strikes. Brocious took one on the outside corner. A little barbecuing going on out beyond the wall, and there is Emerald of Shea Stadium. Ball 4, a 2-out walk. You know that guy's getting a sitcom, Emerald?
Is he?
Emerald is getting a sitcom.
E-M-E-R-I-L. Emerald.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine the material will center around the kitchen. I hope so.
I don't think it's around him as a on-the-beat cop. Emerald takes on the streets of New York.
You wouldn't think that it would be in competition with Seinfeld. No.
1 on, 2 out. Alfonso Soriano at the plate with a .277 average. There's a pitch out, our first one of the day, even with Brocious, the runner at first.
Brocious had one of the steals last night. Again, Bobby Valentine said he would pitch out, not worrying about getting Apier in the hole.
One on, 2 out. Breaking ball is hit to short. Ordonez can't handle it. We'll see how they rule it. That could go either way, but that is typically automatic for Ray Ordonez.
6 errors on the season, missing half the year last year. Ball hit the heel of the glove when a infielder tries to backhand a ball and he misses it, usually it hits the heel of the glove. An error on Ray Ordonez, his 7th of the year.
So when Ray Ordonez is committing errors and he's hitting .221, that is really hurting this Mets lineup. He is out there to catch the ball, make those plays, help out this average starting pitching, and he's not doing his job at the moment. Down and in for strike one on Messina.
Ray's offense is so paltry that Met fans have expected him to catch everything because from an offensive standpoint he contributes very little. But that was a key error right there. Even though the Yankees may not score, they still have Knobloch leading off the 3rd inning.
2 on, 2 out. Messina takes ball 1. Tim, you're the analyst. What kind of hitter is Mike Messina?
I knew you were. I'll tell you, his first at bat in interleague play against the Atlanta Braves back in '97, I said Mike Messina had no chance against John Smoltz. He lined a single up the middle at the TED down in Atlanta on his first trip to the plate. First at bat in the major leagues.
Well, he's up with a chance for an RBI. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 on, 2 out, and that's up the middle. That's through for a hit. Here comes Brocious. Messina delivers a 2-out RBI hit, and it's 2-0 Yankees in the 2nd. The error by Ordonez and the hit by Messina.
A 2-out walk, the error, and a 22 hopper up the middle. No chance for Shinjo, and Mike Messina drives in the 2nd run of the game for the Yankees. 5 career RBIs for Messina.
And now 2 on, 2 out. Knobloch singled into center his first time up.
Joe, the reason I remember that hit by Messina is that was the year that we had the All-Star game here on Fox in Cleveland. Mike, a member of the All-Star team, and that was the first thing he said on the workout day, the day before the All-Star game. No chance, huh?
You mean they hear this stuff that we say?
Yeah, that surprised me, huh?
The 1-0. A ball and a strike on Knobloch, who's driven in 21 runs this season. Yankees with a record of 37-28, 2 games behind Boston at the start of the day. Boston playing in Atlanta. They came from behind for a victory last night.
Beat Atlanta 9-5 in 10 innings.
2 on, 2 out here, and the 1-1 to Knobloch is low, 2-1. On deck, Jeter. Al Leiter, last night's starter, struggled in the first inning, settled down after that. But it was too deep of a hole. And the Mets lost another 1-run game to the Yankees. 2-2 on Knobloch.
A slider, a very descriptive pitch, because it does exactly as its name implies. It slides away from the right-handed hitter.
Apier trying to limit the damage. 2 runs in the inning. The home run by Williams that started this second snapped a streak of 16 consecutive scoreless innings thrown by Apier. An error has led to another run. And now the 2-2 pitch to Knobloch. Soriano, the runner at second. He was the one that hit the ball to short, and on at first with an RBI, Messina. Apier constantly working the stitching on that baseball. trying to raise the stitches. So they got two guys on this Mets team that do that. Dennis Cook is the other, the left-hander in their bullpen. Here's another 2-2 pitch to Knobloch. Good pitch down and away to end the inning, but it's a 2-run inning for the New York Yankees. It started with that. The scoring ended with an RBI hit by Messina. 2-0 Yankees after an inning and a half at Shea. Mike Messina has a 2-run lead. Mike Piazza leads it off for the New York Mets. Zeal and Shinjo will follow. Piazza digs in with the 7th highest home run total in the National League, 18, as he fouls it away for strike 1. Last night, 8th inning, and the controversial base running play that ended with Piazza being thrown out at the plate.
Piazza was a trail runner. Todd Zeal hit the ball. Look at the cutoff throw by Shane Spencer. Scott Brocious alertly making a good play to get Piazza by about 5 feet.
Another foul ball by Piazza.
Joe Mike had stopped at third base. And in the 8th inning, when you're a catcher like that, you caught 8 innings. You've been on the bases, and you stop after running from first to third, and then you try to go again. Mike's saying he felt like he was running through cement. I can certainly understand that.
0-2 from Messina. Up and in for a ball. Todd Zeal is getting a lot of the blame for being the one to send him. You could see on that replay that Zeal was waving Piazza home. I'm sure Zeal looked up and was stunned that Piazza was still standing at third base. As Piazza fouls it back and out of play. Todd saying before the game, only me, only I can hit a ball off the wall. Watch the ball trickle through the infield. Piazza gets thrown out at the plate, stopping twice on the bases, and I'm the one that gets blamed.
Man.
He's on deck. A ball and 2 strikes. Piazza leading off the second. That is hit well into center. Williams back. Nice running catch by Bernie Williams.
Lee Mazzilli, who positions outfielders for the Yankees, has had Bernie Williams play more shallow for the last 2 weeks. Lee told me the other day that Bernie has made about 5 catches in front of him that he would not have made had he been playing his normal depth. The thing about all center fielders, for the most part, they're such great athletes that they go back on the ball very, very well, and Bernie no exception. That ball did not have a lot of hang time, and a good play by Bernie Williams.
Here is Zeal hitting .283. That number not the problem for him, but he's getting criticism for the 3 home runs. Been bothered by an inflamed right elbow. That's been bothering him for about a month. Trying to play through some of that pain as he bats against Messina here in the second. 1-1. This past Thursday, Zeal on May 25th. He'd gone since May 25th without a home run. He went deep in Baltimore, and he goes into right center here. It slices to O'Neill, 2 out. So Messina takes care of the first 2 here in the second, and Shinjo will bat. And of all the guys in this Mets lineup, the one guy that these Mets have been able to count on in the clutch is Shinjo.
A ton of key hits. 7 game-winning hits, even though it's not an official category in Major League Baseball statistics anymore.
2 out, bases empty, and Shinjo takes a strike. So while Ichiro gets all of the headlines, especially headlines back home in Japan, Shinjo has been coming up for these Mets with big hits in the late inning. And he lines a base hit into center here with 2 out. While it took a lot of money to get Ichiro to the Seattle Mariners, it took a lot less money to get Shinjo to the Mets. And we remind you that Fox Sports, home of the 2001 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, we'll have it for you coming from Seattle in the early part of July, and no doubt Ichiro will be a big part of that game. With his new hometown in Seattle hosting the All-Star Game, and Shinjo has been one of the big stories in baseball so far this season.
Shinjo from Osaka, the second largest city in Japan. It's southwest of Tokyo. Loves the big city, lives in Manhattan.
Relaford goes down the right field line, but it will hook foul into the seats. And Desi needs a new bat.
For the most part, as far as cities go, Ichiro has chosen the relative anonymity of a city like Seattle. But Shinjo has chosen Manhattan to live. There is Osaka. And as we said, southwest of Tokyo, about an hour and 15 minutes on the bullet train.
Mark Johnson, who's now his teammate here with the Mets, played with Shinjo in Japan. Said he saw him come up with one big hit after another over there as Relaford lays off a high fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Relaford's going to get a lot of playing time with the injury suffered by Edgardo Alfonzo, put on the disabled list, and he has a strain in his lower back. So Relaford will get a lot of the time at second base. They've also called up Volandia, Jorge Volandia, a minor league infielder, who should get some starts. And Shinjo's playing in center because Jay Payton tore his hamstring earlier in the season. They expect him back in a couple of weeks.
Take Edgardo Alfonzo out of this lineup. It's like taking the middle out of a fillet.
Relaford watches the throw go to first, and Shinjo back easily. Well, you look at the numbers for Edgardo Alfonzo, and there's no doubt that the back injury plays a big part in this. The average the last 2 seasons over 100 RBIs. This season up to 24 before he was shut down. The average way down. Defensively, there's nobody better. Shinjo takes off, and Relaford hits it into right. O'Neill back to get it, and the second inning is history. A hit by Shinjo, a man left. First runner stranded by the Mets. We'll be back to Shea after a break from your local Fox station. Interleague baseball, we're at Shea Stadium, and this game moves to the 3rd inning. RBIs by Williams and Messina. And the Yankees lead Kevin Napier and the Mets 2-0. It'll be Jeter, O'Neill, and Bernie Williams here in the 3rd inning. An unearned run, part of that 2-run second by the Yankees on an error by Ordonez. Jeter takes a strike. That's foul on the count. 0-2. Joe Torre has said from day one, this is the 5th year of interleague play, when the Yankees and Mets get together, it presents more problems than it's worth. And he has never backed down from that. He's always been very straightforward with his thoughts on this series. And you're talking about a New York guy who's been a part of both franchises. Here's an 0-2, and that's too far outside.
Yeah, Joe's not talking about once the game begins, but all the hoopla surrounding the Met-Yankee series. A lot of people are under the opinion that there should be 3 games instead of 6. I do not share that opinion. I think 6 games is good for the city, good for the game. Look at this place. It's packed. I mean, what's the object of the game? Get the people in the stadium, and if this doesn't get them in, nothing will.
1 ball, 2 strikes on Jeter leading off in the 3rd. And he wouldn't chase it. But you can certainly understand why Torre, the manager of the Yankees, under pressure by his owner to take care of the Mets across town, certainly puts a little more pressure on these games, whether they want to admit it or not. And again, the Mets have been considered the underdog. The 2-2 pitch, and that hits Jeter in the hand or wrist area. Hardly flinched. Appears to be all right. And the leadoff man is on.
That fastball tailing in on Derek Jeter. Anytime a Yankee or a Met is hit by a pitch, people are going to overreact. Met fans or Yankee fans overreacting in that particular instance, thinking there was intent there. 2-0 ball game with the 1-2 count. You wanted to hit him. It hit him before 2 strikes. No way was that intentional.
And it wasn't down by the hand or wrist like I had originally said. It was more on the meaty part of the forearm. So he didn't even have to get any attention from the training staff as O'Neill lines one into left, 1 out. We asked Don Zimmer, who has been in the headlines lately, about how the game used to be played in pitching inside, and here's what he had to say.
Brush back pitches. Today you brush somebody back and it's a war. I mean, it's headlines. It's amazing. Guys go up to hit, got helmets, got elbow pads this big, diving out over the plate, and if somebody, you know, there's certain guys that can't hit a ball inside. Well, if I'm going to pitch a guy inside and I miss this far because he's diving in, it looks like a knockdown.
I see this glow come over you when you hear Don Zimmer talk in that fashion, and there are a lot of people who used to play this game at this level that feel the same way.
And it's just absurd, the overreaction on pitching inside that is prevalent in the game today.
And now the league, Major League Baseball, has thrown it on these umpires,
which is not fair.
No, the umpires are in charge of trying to determine the intent of pitches that come inside and may hit a batter. 1 on, 1 out. Williams a little too quick, and it's 1-1.
Occasionally it's evident that a pitcher was throwing at a batter, but most of the time it's not. In that particular instance, it's absurd to think Apier was throwing at Jeter. But the overreaction has persisted to the point where anytime anybody is hit, for the most part, there are at least a portion of the viewing audience or the people at the ballpark who thinks that he was hit intentionally.
Or the people in the other dugout.
Sure, sure.
I mean, a lot of these players are just as guilty of
absolutely
falling into that trap.
Yep.
These two teams were warned before this series started because of the history between these two, and in particular last season, and Roger Clemens and Mike Piazza, both during the regular season, then of course in the World Series, Game 2, with Piazza firing the business end of the bat back toward the first baseline and Piazza going down the line. And I know here we are bringing this up again, but not going to apologize for bringing up one of the storylines in this series. Fly ball into right, even though I just did. Timo Perez comes in to make the play. 2 out. Joe Torre gets upset and hot when people continually bring this up, or networks continually show the replays of what happened. When I think back to the World Series, and I was there watching and at least announcing all those games, that's the first thing I think about with last year's World Series, and that's what that series, for a lot of people, is going to be remembered by.
Certainly think of that. You think of Timo Perez not running hard in Game 1. You think of the 10-pitch Paul O'Neill at bat. You think of the MVP caliber of play of Derek Jeter. But certainly Mike Piazza having the bat thrown at him by Roger Clemens. That's one of the lowlights, highlights, and another pitch out by the Mets. 2 and 3 innings.
Since then, by the way, the Yankees themselves, and in particular Don Zimmer, who was quoted by Esquire magazine, resurrected a lot of those feelings and had some words to say about Mike Piazza, saying he came off as a small man because of what he said afterward. And I think part of Zimmer's quote was correct. I think you really get into a dangerous area when you try to determine the intent of what somebody else was doing. Mike Piazza thought that Clemens was throwing at him, in particular throwing at him up high. Zimmer saying the only man who truly knows the answer to that is Roger Clemens. 2 balls and a strike on Tino Martinez. Of course, you're talking about Don Zimmer, who went through 2 serious beanings in his career. And so if there's anybody to talk on that subject, it would be Don Zimmer, the original Mets third baseman in 1962. 1 on, 2 out. Jeter aboard. He led off. He was hit by a pitch, and that started this conversation. Ground ball to short. Bad hop for Ordonez, but he stays with it and gets the out. The Yankees strand their 3rd runner of the day. And this game goes into the bottom of the 3rd. Ordonez, Apier, Perez coming up for the Mets, who trail by 2.
Presented by Radio Shack is brought to you by Budweiser, with the crisp, clean, refreshing taste you'll find in no other beer. This Bud's for you, and by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Radio Shack. Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
And this game rolls into the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's Ordonez to lead it off, and a fastball up and out of the strike zone from Messina. 2-0 the Yankees lead, bottom of the 3rd. Apier and Perez will follow. Right back toward us. 1 ball, 1 strike.
There are some hitters who are categorized as high ball hitters. There are others who are high ball swingers. Nobody, in my opinion, in baseball gets himself in the hole with foul balls on fastballs around the letters any more than Ray Ordonez. That's what pitchers try to get him to do, get himself out.
Strike 2. Apier to follow, and he is not one of the more accomplished hitting pitchers in the history of this game either. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Ordonez hits it to first. Martinez to his left, 1 out. On Fox tonight, it's the hardest working team in the country. First up, it's a doubleheader of Cops. Then John Walsh strikes out the bad guys in an all-new America's Most Wanted. Your Saturday night of justice begins tonight, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, right here on Fox. There's Emerald, armed with a spatula and 4 spices. Emerald wipes out crime in the streets of New York. You are no match for my paprika. Ball 1 up and into Apier. Bam.
Some of that food Emerald serves could be used as a weapon. And I'm not ripping the food, but the spices. No, I'm not. No, come on.
That's
but
ultimate.
the spices. That's what Cajun spices.
It's all
a lot of that
spices.
stuff is jalapeno, stuff like that.
That was weak. You're scared of Emerald now.
What do you mean now? As though I have a list?
No, you want me to bring up old things? Huh?
Would I be afraid of this man? Come on.
You talking to me?
How you doing?
1 ball, 2 strikes. Why do chefs have to wear hats like that?
Keep their hair out of the food.
That doesn't do the trick. Apier
You're going to the
out.
wrong restaurants then.
That hat, that tall, what's the point?
Got tall hair. I don't know. It's the look. You've got to have the look. It's why, you know, it's why we have to wear ties.
It's called a toque. Did you know that?
No, I did T-O-Q-U-E.
It's Toke. I don't know the spelling. Here's Perez with 2 out, nobody on. Timo hitting .275. Messina doing his thing. He's allowed only 1 hit. That was to Shinjo last inning, a 2-out hit. 0-1. Knuckle curve. Knuckle change.
Yeah, he's got 2 types of knuckle curve balls. One that he holds with 2 fingers, and his changeup that he holds with 1 finger. That was the 1-finger knuckleball or knuckle curve there. That's his prefix menu for the day.
Base is empty with 2 out and a 1-1 count on Perez. A 2-0 Yankee lead in the 3rd.
Change up here.
And a slow roller to second. Soriano, the underhanded flip, and another 1-2-3 inning for Messina. 4th inning now at Shea Stadium. The sun breaks through. Yankees lead by 2. Well, there's a look at the Mets radio booth. It's a 2-0 game as we go to the 4th inning. And there's a look at Bob Murphy, the voice of the Mets on radio since their first year in 1962. He is battling pneumonia. He's on his way back. A nice article in the New York Times yesterday. Richard Sandomir, the two got together and talked about how Bob Murphy just doesn't know what to do without going to the ballpark. So we want to send along. And Tim, this is, I know, more your idea than mine, but I certainly throw in with you that we want to send along best wishes to a dear friend in Bob Murphy.
Absolutely. Pictured there with Lindsey Nelson in the middle, Ralph Kiner to the far right.
A breaking ball for a strike to Jorge Posada. We saw Gary Cohen, who's with Howie Rose, who's filling in. I think Gary Cohen is the best baseball radio announcer in the country.
Wow. Well, that's high praise.
Yeah, consider the source. What's that high? He is terrific.
I mean, that's he is awfully good.
Whether it's baseball or hockey during the Olympics, trying to get those names down. Does a terrific job. Posada, Brocious, Soriano, the 6, 7, and 8 hitters in the Yankee lineup. A 2-0 Yankee lead, 4th inning. Posada hit the ball deep to the track in center, but caught by Shinjo back in the 2nd. Ball 1. Now the next on 1 and 2. Posada got under it, sends it into deep right field. Will it carry? Perez at the wall, comes in, and it drops 30 feet in front of him. Well, you could see Posada got under it. I was shocked to see Perez going that deep. And Valentine's looking for a reason why that ball fell 40 feet in front of the right fielder.
Timo Perez has glasses on, but they're on his hat. What good are they doing on his hat? You mentioned the sun coming out. Perez going to where he thought the ball would drop. Shinjo alertly coming over. There are not a lot of center fielders who would come over and field the ball in front of the right fielder. What are the glasses doing on the bill of his cap? That's what the first question is to me.
Well, here is another ridiculous example of official scoring in baseball. And it's not the official scoring in this game. This is how it's done. But how that's a double, I mean, that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
But that's not to pick on the official score here. That's just the way it's done in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that should change. I mean, you have to have some discretion.
Right.
Whether it's a team error or it's just a straight error on the right fielder. He turned and went back. He looked at the swing, went back to the place where he thought it would come down. He obviously thought it was going to leave the park. And it wasn't even close. But you could see Apier kicking at the dirt around the pitching rubber after that. And I don't blame him. The defense let him down with Ordonez at short. That led to a run. And who knows what this will start with a misplay in right by Perez on a double.
As far as team errors are concerned, the team really had nothing to do with that. Timo. Still, the glasses rest on the hat.
Runner stealing third on a ground ball to the right side. Joe Torre's been starting runners since the Yankees bus pulled into Shea Stadium last night.
How about that play? That is the first time I have ever seen the hit and run unless a runner were on at first base and second base. But Posada running from second with nobody out. How about that? The Yankees relentless against the Mets on the bases.
So now Soriano with the RBI opportunity.
Mets infield will come in with the pitch.
A lot of managers like to use that play to get movement going on behind the pitcher when the pitch is being delivered.
It puts some pressure on the runner at third and the third base coach. But the problem with that play is the infielders, when they move in, they're not set when the ball gets to them. Can't move laterally left and right as well.
Now the infielders start in, and it's a strike over the inside corner. If you look at the Major League Baseball rule book, by the way, official scorers around baseball have the discretion to charge a play like that an error, but it just isn't done. In practice, it is seldom called, and that was a case where you could have definitely ruled in an error. Runner at third, one out, infield in, and that's strike two. And Apier, who has been racking up the strikeouts lately, needs one here. On deck is Messina. So if you get Soriano, you should, knowing that Messina already has a 2-out RBI single, but you should get out of the inning. Wild pitch, but Piazza at least keeps it close to the plate. 2-2.
He keeps it close to the plate and on the third base side of the plate. Stopping Piazza, or I beg your pardon, Posada. Good play by Mike Piazza. Anytime a catcher blocks that ball that bounces in front of home plate, generally speaking, it's a good play.
Infield in, runner at third, one out. Yankees already up by 2. Trying to hit the outside corner. It was low, and it's 3-2.
Just misses. Like it was low and outside. You walk Soriano and you've done something. He's walked only 5 times this year.
Soriano with 19 RBI. To the shortstop. They have Posada at the plate. 2 out.
The reason they sent the runner on contact is Joe Torre realized that here a National League game played under National League rules. The pitcher is up next, taking a chance on a ball hit to the left or right of the infielder. Posada on contact. It's also something you can do when you have a 2-0 lead. If you're trailing by 2, obviously the infield wouldn't be in then.
One on, 2 out. I think was going through the mind of Posada as he was coming down the third base line.
Stop. Don't run into Piazza.
Messina has the hit back in the second inning, an RBI base hit. And if Apier gets out of this, he deserves a lot of credit for pitching around that misplay in right. Our Radio Shack trivia question: Derek Jeter has hit in 14 consecutive World Series games for the third longest streak all time. Who holds the record for the longest hitting streak in the World Series? One on, two out. 1 ball, no strikes on Messina. And an easy one for Apier. Good work by Kevin Apier. Got around the miss playing right. And that'll do it for the Yankees in the 4th. A leadoff double wasted. And we'll come back to Shea after this. You're watching Major League Baseball on Fox, presented by Radio Shack.
Baseball is presented by Radio Shack. Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers.
Bottom of the 4th inning, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Mets: Agbayani, Ventura, Piazza, against Messina, who's brought his good stuff to the park today. It's a 2-0 Yankee lead. And a ground ball to short. Agbayani 0 for 2 as Jeter takes care of the Mets left fielder. 1 away. That'll bring in Robin Ventura, who popped out his first time up.
In baseball, pitching can kind of take the fun out of things, can it?
It really can.
I mean, here is a weekend normally filled with noise, with crowd and everything, and because it's a 2-0 ball game, a relatively sedate crowd.
Well, it's time to get loud into deep right field. At the track, it's gone.
That'll put the noise back in the afternoon. Posada sitting away right down the heart of the plate. Only the 5th home run given up this year by Messina. That ball was hammered. Woo.
Piazza. Ball 1 with that home run hit by Robin Ventura. Another $30,000 has been raised to support prostate cancer research. So $60,000 from this game already raised. A 1-0 to Piazza on the right side of the infield for Soriano. 2 out. By the way, coming into today's action, $1,920,000 has been raised to help find a cure for prostate cancer. The pledges that have happened from across the country. Here's Zeal with a run in, 2 out, nobody on. Zeal lined out to right his first time up. That number for Cap Cure, 1-800-547-CURE. If you want to make your pledge. 2 out, bases empty, and Zeal facing Messina. Strike 1.
One of the rare times that Todd Zeal will come up and swing at the first pitch. Normally he will take a strike about 9 out of 10 times. But Todd probably figuring 2 out, nobody on, a 1-run ball game. Why not try to tie it up?
He also does that from time to time against pitchers who he knows pay attention to stuff like that. Messina probably realizing that. Zeal thinking, well, he's going to try to get ahead with strike 1, and I'll be waiting for it. Now he's in the hole 0-2.
Dave Engel, the batting instructor, talking to Robin Ventura.
The 0-2 from Messina. And Zeal spoiled it. Ventura, his 14th home run of the season, has cut the Yankee lead in half. Another 0-2 to Zeal. Inning over. Second strikeout for Messina, but the Mets are on the board. Robin Ventura trying to get this crowd going. That crack of the bat, the crowd got into it, and after 4, 2-1 Yankees.
So big and strong.
Our A&W fan camp, Father's Day tomorrow.
He comes home each night looking tired and beat. He sits down at the dinner table and has a bite to eat. Never a frown, always a smile. When he says to me, how's my child? I said that I've been studying hard all day in school, trying very hard to understand the golden rule. I think I'll color this man father. I think I'll color him love. Said I'm gonna color him father. I think I'll color the man love. Yes, I will. He says education is the thing if you want to compete, because without his son, life ain't very sweet. I love this man and I don't know why, except I'll need his strength until the day that I die. My mother loves him, and I can tell by the way she looks at him when he holds my little sister.
0-1 the count to Knobloch, 5th inning, 2-1 the Yankees on top. Top of the order for the Yankees, and an 0-2 count as Apier has done well here this afternoon. Knobloch is single. He has struck out. Color him father, color him love.
Nice tribute to all the pops out in the audience here at the ballpark.
Knobloch set up at 0-2. One and 2.
I like New York in June. How about you?
This has really taken on a musical feel
yes,
to our
has.
Saturday afternoon telecasts. A ball and 2 strikes. Knobloch to the third baseman Ventura. 1 out. Our Radio Shack trivia question: Derek Jeter has hit in 14 consecutive World Series games, the 3rd longest streak all time. Who holds the record for the longest hitting streak in the World Series?
Bobby Richardson.
Hank Bauer. 1956 to 58, 17 games. Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers. Tim's answer was wrong. Mine was non-existent.
Kind of figured it had to be a Yankee,
well,
though. Yeah. Enormous success that this franchise has had, more than any other sport.
26th World Championship, won last year. 4 of the last 5 years. Joe Torre is managing his 6th season. Started in '96, and that started the run with the 4 consecutive victories in the World Series over the Braves. He is unsigned past this season. 1 ball, 1 strike, and you can start to read the quotes by George Steinbrenner, who is starting to turn some of the pressure of this Yankee team. And again, they're only 2 games out. But the quotes are, I have all the confidence in the world in Joe Torre. I know Joe Torre will turn this around. Meanwhile, George Steinbrenner says, I can't hit for these guys.
Well, neither can Joe Torre.
That's right. That's my point. The 1 ball, 1 strike pitch. 2-1. So Joe Torre is waiting to hear back, evidently, from George Steinbrenner on his contract proposal. Joe Torre will tell you, and he told us, that he wants to manage next year. He has said, I know I will work. A lot of people speculate that that meant going back into the broadcast booth. But Joe Torre and that sidekick of his, Zimmer, those two have done such a job as the Yankee bench leaders. Joe Torre deflecting a lot of the pressure his way and off his players as Jeter looks at ball 3, 3-1.
Joe is in that position in life that few are ever in. He can do what he wants to do, and what he wants to do is to continue to manage the Yankees.
One out, nobody on. Jeter, who's 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch his last time up. Takes ball 4. Here's Joe Torre talking about his contract situation.
Well, to me, I don't want to be concerned during the season. You know, even when I was working for people that my job was in jeopardy, it's very tough to worry about things like contracts when my job takes 100% of my concentration. So I really don't pay a lot of attention to it. Yeah, I want to manage more than this year, and I don't have a contract beyond this year. But I trust it'll get done.
1 on, 1 out for Paul O'Neill. Pitch out, third pitch out of the day.
All the pitch outs have come on the first pitch. And we'll see if Joe Torre, a lot of times when a pitcher falls behind like this, well, the next pitch is the time to send him, because rarely will a manager and a catcher pitch out twice in a row.
Runner starts and stops. Breaking ball for a strike to O'Neill, who can't believe the call.
That's what the running game does to a catcher, too. And Mike Piazza caught that ball as though the pitch were not a strike. Looked low, but with the fake break at first base by Derek Jeter, what a catcher will do, he'll take that low pitch away from a pitcher. But home plate umpire Mark Wegner called it a strike.
Now the 1-1. Yeah, so oftentimes you say, well, the catcher popping up took a strike away. The catcher Piazza popping up here may have given Apier a strike.
Maybe.
And the count 2-1. Now we'll see if they start Jeter at first.
That was the count on which Knobloch ran in the first inning. I would suspect Jeter will be running here.
There he goes. Swing and a miss. Piazza's throw. Too late. And it's a stolen base for Jeter, his 13th. Good throw gets him. Jeter did not have a very good jump, but it bounced in from Piazza.
In fairness to Mike, that was a very difficult pitch to handle. That slider low and away. Jeter taking a peek after 3 steps and belly flops into second base with steal number 13 this year. Here's the pitch we were talking about, a tough pitch for Piazza to handle. 5 stolen bases for the Yankees in a game and a half.
Runner at second, 1 out, and O'Neill takes strike 3, 2 gone.
The 1-0 slider O'Neill complained about. That ball was higher, and that pitch was a strike, it appeared. That first one was low. That pitch appeared to be high enough.
Now it's a runner at second, 2 out. There is no hotter hitter in the Yankee lineup than Bernie Williams. Tino Martinez, who has struggled, although he had a breakout game this past week in Baltimore, waits on deck. Runner at second, 2 down, and Williams went strike 1. It's at Baltimore. It was at home against Montreal. Do you have any ideas of putting Williams on?
I think Bobby Ballantyne's thinking right here. I don't think it's a bad play at all. But if Bernie Williams is going to make contact, it's going to be with the pitch out of the strike zone. And he has confidence enough in Kevin Apier to be experienced enough to do just that. He's going to hit something, make him hit something out of the zone.
Williams homered his first time up. He's 1 for 2. And the count 0-2. Back in the second with a count in his favor. Williams hit it out to center. For Bernie, his 10th of the year. It gives him only 33 RBIs. He missed a chunk of games when he went back home to be with his ailing father, who has since passed away. Napier steps off. That's foul. Just to close the book on Joe Torre, came into the inning talking about it. Joe is reportedly asking for between $5 to $7 million, which in baseball managers' money is a new standard.
Huge.
But as far as other head coaches, particularly in the NBA,
right,
that's right in line with them.
I have always thought that baseball managers have lagged way behind the other major sports. World Series title, 3 behind Joe McCarthy.
4th strikeout for Napier. They went after Williams. They get him, and Napier gets around a walk and a steal. Bottom of the 5th, halfway through it. Back after this. Baseball presented by Radio Shack today from Shea. Bottom of the 5th inning, the Yankees head back to the field, and Mike Messina's ready. How on is Messina today? He's thrown 39 pitches through 4 innings, and at no time has he had a 2-ball count on any hitter. Shinjo, first pitch hacking, strike 1. Talked about the money that it took to get Ichiro to the Seattle Mariners. The Mariners had to pay $13 million just for the rights to negotiate with Ichiro. Shinjo turned down a $12 million multi-year contract to play, and I know, gasp, for $700,000 here with the New York Mets, but he turned down a lot of money to try to make it over here. And Steve Phillips, along with Bobby Valentine, who used to manage in Japan, they got a good one in Shinjo, and he is 2 for 2 as he shoots one down the left field line. Knobloch will get it back in, and Shinjo has a leadoff single.
Looked like Shinjo jammed his left ankle or left heel. A lot of times when you're looking out in left field, you hit the bag at first in an awkward way. See, he's running okay then. Now looking again, and broke stride about 2 steps from the base and went back to first base limping. And in some pain, as you can see there.
And the dugout sees it, so Bobby Valentine will trot out for the trainer to look at. Looked like Tim had grabbed him before he got to the bag.
There's a couple of strides before the bag. He's fine there, and right there, limping around first base. It's doubtful he would have tried for 2. Knobloch over quickly to get in front of it, but he appears to be all right.
Well, if ever a manager was needed to go out with a trainer to check on the health of a player, it's Valentine, who speaks Japanese.
Yeah.
Can't run the interpreter out there. So Bobby Valentine, who has actually written a book on baseball in Japanese, went out. Shinjo City's all right. Bobby Valentine wrote that book with a guy named Brad Lefton, who is now trailing around for NHK Ichiro, and he has all access
is that right?
to Ichiro. And he has had a lot of interesting and neat behind-the-scenes moments with Ichiro in his first year with Seattle. He throw to first and Shinjo backhand first.
I think Messina's trying to see if Desi Relaford's up there to bunt or not. Not a bunting situation with your 8th place hitter batting .220, and then the pitcher coming up and nobody loosening in the bullpen. If anything, you try the hit and run here, not the straight sacrifice.
This Relaford, for a little guy, has got a big swing.
Yeah.
He's got a little pop in his bat as he takes ball 1 from Mike Messina. Ordonez, who has 19 RBIs and is hitting .220, waits to hit next. And Shinjo wants time over at first. I don't know if I guess he didn't understand the sign coming from John Stearns, the third base coach, so Got instruction from Mookie Wilson, I guess. Rather large lead by Shinjo over at first. Not running as Relaford takes a breaking ball high. It's 2-0. And there's the first 2-ball count on a Met hitter today. And it's with the number 7 hitter, Relaford, at the plate. Met fans trying to get a little something going.
Sometimes the threat of speed can be more of a deterrent than the speed itself. Messina's fallen behind. He's thrown to first base 4 times, and he's thrown home twice with Relaford up there.
Tying run at first with nobody out. Relaford, 2-1. We are at Shea Stadium, where they've been playing baseball since 1964. Interleague baseball action on a Saturday afternoon. The Yankees got 2 runs in the second. One on a home run by Bernie Williams. The difference in the game right now is the 2-out RBI hit by Messina. The Mets got a run on a home run by Ventura in the bottom of the 4th, and now a leadoff hit in the 5th. That kid's had enough. Posada was nicked by that foul tip by Relaford, so he takes a minute, walks out to the mound, and drums up conversation with Mike Messina to let the pain subside. 2 balls and a strike on Relaford.
You're going to send Shinjo. Now's the time to do it. His ankle's healthy, and Posada's finger's sore.
Relaford fouls it out of play left side.
A lot of managers, when they see a catcher get a foul tip on the hand from where they'll, Bobby Valentine certainly alert enough to know that, but now with the count 2-2, he'll wait until a 3-2 count to send Shinjo.
Shinjo's got that Dick Weber, I'm a left-handed bowler guard on his left wrist. Right under those big wristbands as Relaford takes ball 3, 3-2.
That's what that is, too. That's a sliding glove on his left hand. It's thicker than batting gloves. There it is, padded.
Made by Brunswick. A 47-pitch day dominated by strikes from Messina. Runner goes, 3-2 pitch is popped up. That is a big out for the Yankees. 1 away, and it's a big out because Ordonez and Apier are coming up.
Relaford got a pitch to hit and pops it up. Only 2 strikeouts for Messina, but he will make a lineup, put the ball in play. He's walked only 14 this year, and this is his 14th start.
Here's Ordonez hitting .220. Apier next. Shinjo, the runner at first, 2 of only 3 Mets hits today. Mets have scored 280 runs on the season, coming in at 281 after the home run by Ventura. And the Mets this season have had 24 games where they have scored 2 or fewer runs, which is tops in the major leagues. Tops or the worst, however you want to look at it. And it has been offensive around here this season. When you look at the team average, the runs per game, 14 in a 16-team league. Shut out 7 times, which is the worst. 1 on, 1 out. And that comes back over the heart of the plate for strike one. Alfonso is a big part of that. Mike Piazza will tell you that he's not happy with the way he is swinging the bat consistently. He just cannot get anything rolling. Zeal has had a down year, bothered by an inflamed right elbow. Ventura has been coming on. Perez hasn't done much at the top of the order.
Not a lot of thump in the outfield.
1 ball, 1 strike.
When you normally think of outfielders from an offensive standpoint, you think of home runs and or a lot of speed. The Mets, particularly with Jay Payton down, do not have a lot of thump from their outfielders.
1 on, 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Two and 1.
Messina's tough. He's a very tough pitcher against him to use the hit and run because he throws so many fly balls. But Ordonez can get on top of a high fastball and hit it on the ground. We may see Shinjo off here with 1 out.
2 balls and a strike. He's running. Ordonez pops it foul out of play, and the count 2-2.
That's that pitch right there, and that makes Mussina very difficult to run on because of the high fastball. Ordonez can get on top of that ball normally, but he pops this one out of play. That was not a good swing by Ray Ordonez.
Definitely part of his thinking was protecting the runner there. That pitch was letter high, and he was just trying to put the bat on the ball to protect Shinjo. 2 out of 4. This Mets team has not run the bases well. They've not stolen many bases. 2-2. That's foul. Perez, their leadoff hitter, is 0 for 4 in the stolen base department. And as a group, they have stolen just 25 bases while giving up 64.
As an example, the Yankees have stolen more than 3 times the bases that the Mets have, and we're only in the middle of June.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 1 out. Full count. A leadoff hit by Shinjo. Relaford popped up on a 3-2 pitch, and now it's a 3-2 count on Ordonez. Runner goes, ground ball, diving stop, Brocious. 2 out, runner at second with a pitcher coming up. Scott Brocious took a hit away to his left.
You are seeing about as good a play at third base as you can see in the major leagues today with Ventura and Scott Brocious. Even though this has not been one of Scott's better defensive years, 11 errors on the year. That's as many as he had last year. Shinjo sliding into second base, not taking for granted that Brocious is going to go to first.
He doesn't look like he's moving around very well.
No, he doesn't.
Well, Messina has an RBI hit with 2 out. That's the difference in the game, and now the Mets ask for 1 out of Appier. Yellow. Not all that close, but for Appier, that's close enough.
It's one of those depilatory fastballs. Take the skin right off your face.
1 ball, no strikes. Runner at second, 2 out. Yankees up by 1 in the 5th. And Appier did not have a firm foundation with which to swing after that pitch up and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Whether intended or not, that first pitch by Messina may be the easy way to an out here with Apier. Good swing there, and the count 1-2.
Good hack right there. We had a visit from a guy who wore that number for a long time with the Mets, number 17, Keith Hernandez. 11 gold gloves, the most ever by a first baseman. What a player.
I can say from the St. Louis standpoint, Cardinals and their fans were thrilled to get Neil Allen and Rick Ownby for him. Apier strikes out, and this game goes to the 6th inning. Messina gets around a leadoff hit. Mets have stranded 2. Yankees lead 2-1. It is now the 6th inning. That's Mr. Met. And that's Mr. Apier. And Martinez, Posada, and Brocious will bat for the Yankees, who lead by 1. Good game.
Real good ball game. Very well pitched. Kevin Apier pitching out of trouble a couple of times. And the solo home run by Robin Ventura, the only scoring for the Mets.
I wonder how Jeannie Zelasco and Kevin Kennedy are doing today. We haven't heard from them all day.
No, we haven't.
Tino Martinez first up, 6th inning. Tino 0 for 2 with a strikeout, a ground out, and a big bender in for a strike.
I guess one of the reasons we have not heard from Kevin and Jeannie is because Barry Bonds hasn't been up to the plate yet.
That's true.
With the 3-hour time change.
36 home runs, shattering any pace that's been set previously. Wow, Tino Martinez way out in front, 0-2. McGuire through 67 games had hit 31 home runs back in '98. Bonds is up to 36 after 67 games. And that's where those players were on their march to what was then a single season all-time record, whether it was Ruth or Maris, and then Sosa, who was second to McGuire in '98. Now it's Bonds. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tino Martinez. 2-2. Kevin Apier has done a very good job here today. He couldn't pitch around an error in the 2nd. By the way, that unearned run is still the difference, knocked in by Messina. He did pitch around a misplay in right on a ball that Timo Perez misplayed out in right. It was ruled a double. Here's a 2-2 pitch. That's back toward us. Coming into today, the last 4 starts for Kevin Apier have been terrific. 2-0, an ERA just over 1.5. Look at the strikeouts and innings pitched, but just the 2 wins. The 2-2 pitch popped up. On the infield, Ordonez. 1 away right now. Let's send it back to Jeannie in the studio with a Speed Pass game break brought to you by Mobile.
Well, Joe, I've been laying low because of that prom analogy. No woman likes to hear that she might be 3rd choice. How about this for your 1st choice, though? Cristina Polanco with a single, bases loaded, 2-run score. How about a little insult to injury? The very next batter, J.D. Drew. It wasn't pretty, but it'll work. 3-run shot is 21st on the season. Kit Wells is struggling. The Cardinals offense is not top 6, Joe.
All right, Jeannie. I would have been lucky to end up with Jeannie on my arm. There's a strike. That just proves that they're listening to the early part of these games.
They're paying attention.
Posada is 1 out of 2.
This is that prom part of year, you know. Sure. Early June, late May to mid-June.
1 ball, 1 strike. Do you have any good prom stories? Forget it. It's 2-1 in the 6th inning.
Yeah, if you like 47 Pontiacs.
And Elvis music.
And Elvis music, right. Little Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis.
1 ball, 1 strike. Posada took strike 2. We had a picture of you right around your prom, didn't we, a couple of years ago? Was that last year?
I think so, yeah. It could have been a prom picture. That very thin bow tie. Butch hair wax. Blow dryers were 30 years away.
Posada gulps one into right. Come back, Timo. He's got it this time. Oh, they love him at Shea.
Timo started back, and now he can smile about that because his gaff, the last time Posada was at the plate, did not account for a run, and you could see that. That's a great smile right there.
So 2 out, bases empty, and Brocious, who's 0 for 1 with a walk. Talk about the error by Ordonez, but the walk started that second little rally. A walk and a run scored for Brocious, and now he's on with a hit. 2 out base hit up the middle. Keep his average over the 300 mark. I know I said earlier that Williams has been the one real consistent hitter in this lineup, and that's not altogether true. Mentioned Posada, and Brocious has had a nice year. Gary Denbo is the new hitting instructor for these Yankees. Those two have been working together since spring training, and Brocious, we've said this before, who many people just expect to walk away from the Yankees after this year as his contract is up, and the same for Tino Martinez. Maybe playing his way into a new Yankee contract. 1 on, 2 out. He's running, and Soriano fouls it back and out of play. The second time we've seen Brocious take off.
After a stolen base last night, Brian Cashman, the general manager of the Yankees, realizing that Drew Henson, who signed a multi-year $13 million deal, actually I think it was $18 million, in spring training when the Yankees reacquired the former Michigan quarterback, who is now a third baseman in the minor leagues, and because of a broken wrist just started playing about a week ago.
Soriano checked his swing, and the count 1-1. Well, the league has been running on Piazza, and that's what Piazza has done against the Yankees since 1997. 8 out of 21, 38%. It's not all that bad.
Excellent. 1
ball, 1 strike, 1 on, 2 out. Into center, but Shinjo is there, and the top of the 6th inning is history. A 2-out hit by Brocious. The Yankees strand their 6th. Bottom of the inning, and the Mets will have the top of the order. They trail by 1. There is definitely cooperated with this game today, and today's aerial coverage being provided by the Monster.com blimp. Monster.com is a proud sponsor of the 2002 Olympic Winter Games and the 2002 U.S. Olympic team. Monster.com, job good, life good. Timo Perez takes a ball down and in. Bottom of the 6th inning, top of the order. Agbayani and Ventura will follow. 2-1 the Yankees lead behind Messina. Not much out of Timo, who had a 4-hit game this past week in Baltimore. Bernie Williams, 1 out, and Perez is 0 for 3. Here's Agbayani. You have placed this Benny Agbayani coffee between us.
Benny
Bean. The start of the day, and I'm smelling it. So let's get that out of the way, and then we can get rid of it.
Well, Benny Agbayani, enormously popular in Hawaii, his home state. That's why he wears number 50. Good friend of the ex-left-hander with the Mets, Sid Fernandez. He even has his own coffee. Benny Bean. This is not after it's been ground, by the way. No. Benny Bean. There it is.
So those are coffee beans in there.
Yeah, coffee beans, Benny beans. I would imagine Kona coffee. Some of the world's finest.
1 ball, 1 strike. We've secretly replaced the coffee in this 5-star restaurant with Benny beans. This is winding its way back to Emerald, and I'm stopping it. That's into right. O'Neill in and to his right. 2 up in the 6th inning and 2 down. You know, we have the All-Star game this year, Tim.
Yes, sir. July 10th in Seattle.
And a look at the leading vote getters, if that is grammatically correct, but that's how they say it. Gonzalez, Bonds, and Sosa in the outfield. Todd Helton, who's having another incredible year. Kent Aurelia, good for him as he's getting recognized for his great play. And Piazza, the leading vote getter in the National League. Ventura could creep onto that list. Chipper Jones right now leading the way at third base. And he's jammed. Will that stay in play? Posada gives it a look. An easy 1-2-3 inning for Messina against the top of the order. Down in order go the Mets. Fox Sports, home of the 2001 Major League Baseball All-Star Game, will return to Shea after a break from your local Fox station. Product of Stanford University, Mike Messina will lead it off. His former club at Stanford, playing in the College World Series in Omaha, and bad news for him and for all the Stanford alumni scattered across the country. They're losing 9-1 in the 6th inning to Miami. Here are Mike's thoughts on his time at Stanford and what they're going through right now.
You know, it's a great experience for a collegiate player who they go out there, they're playing hard, they're representing their university, and to get to go to Omaha to be one of the final 8 teams to play for the title it's as big for a college baseball player as the Final Four is for basketball. I'm going to be wearing a Cardinal and white, probably under my navy and gray on Saturday.
Messina leads off in the 7th. He has a hit, and again, I keep saying it, but it's important, the difference in the game. A 2-out RBI single in the 2nd. And he even recognized, that's how smart the guy is. He didn't say under my Yankee pinstripes. He said my navy and gray. This guy is, well, he's one of the best pitchers, obviously, in the game today. He was rewarded for that with a big 6-year, $88.5 million contract, which will buy you a lot of sub sandwiches back in Montoursville, Pennsylvania, where they have 1 movie theater, 3 sub shops, and the Messina family. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Back in the 2nd with 2 out. Chopper up the middle. That scored Brocious, made it 2-0. It's now 2-1 after a home run by Ventura. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Messina is gone. 1 away, and that's strikeout number 5 for Kevin Appier.
Mike Messina is so smart that I once caught him doing a Thursday New York Times crossword puzzle.
Oof.
It increases with difficulty as the week gets older. Not Sunday, but Thursday.
Well, another Stanford product. Chad Hutchinson, who pitches for the Cardinals right now at Memphis, was up with the big league club at the beginning of the year and got on the team bus, and he was reading Dostoevsky. I think might have set a record.
Hardback?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think the paperback Dostoevsky is out yet.
No. They're waiting for it.
Some smart folks go to that school.
Oh, yeah. 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Knobloch has a hit today. Appier working well, but to this point, Not well enough, and he spins Knobloch off the plate. So Apier just grabbed the inside part of the plate back from Knobloch. How has the quote-unquote higher strike zone affected Chuck Knobloch?
Not a lot.
Never mind. Apier takes care of it.
Well, you stop it.
I'm
well,
just
the reason,
because they don't call it.
Yeah, I'm saying not a lot because the pitch was on its way. But I don't think it's affected anybody that much. Eyewash.
Let's look at the American League leading vote getters. The outfield. How about Ichiro, the leading vote getter?
Yeah.
Getter in the American League, with Ripken, Rodriguez, Alomar, Olrud, Edgar Martinez, the DH, and Ivan Rodriguez behind the plate.
We mentioned it briefly last week. Seattle has a chance to host the All-Star game with the best record in the history of the All-Star game for a host city.
And to see two of the players they used to root for. And Alex Rodriguez and Randy Johnson. Ken Griffey Jr. will not be there.
Seattle entering today's play with a 51-14 record.
1 ball, no strikes. You know, Bobby Valentine last year claimed that Ichiro, and he saw him in Japan, was one of the 5 best players in the world.
I remember that. I think it was during World Series time when he made that comment.
He said, oh, this guy's great.
Yeah.
He's not going to have any problems. And not only has he had no problems, he has taken over. And he is a big reason why the Mariners have 51 wins. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Jeter, 2-1.
It's such an odd Yankee-Met game. It's uncharacteristic from a noise decibel standpoint. Right below us, some Met fans trying to get things stirred up with this strained "Let's go Mets," and they're not even hitting.
Here's the 2-1. Back to Apier. One of the reasons, I think, is because the Mets just aren't playing well.
Right.
And it's taken a lot of the starch out of this series. Apier's pitching well today. And we'll come back. You're watching Major League Baseball on Fox, presented by Radio Shack. 2-1 Yankees. Leading it off in the bottom of the 7th is a guy who can tie it with one swing. Mike Piazza, who has 18 home runs. Hitless today against Messina. 2-1 Yankees, bottom of the 7th. Piazza, Zeal, and Shinjo coming up for the Mets. There's a little of that Shea Stadium noise. Not a lot, but strike 1 to Piazza.
Mike has not looked good his first 2 times up. Did hit that first ball his first time up fairly well, but he can come from nowhere and scorch a ball and tie a game up.
To any part of the park.
Yes, sir.
That's a start for the Mets. Nothing new for Mike Piazza in interleague play. Coming into this game, he is 3rd in the major leagues in the short history of interleague baseball, history that dates back to 1997, hitting .360. And against the Yankees, over the course of interleague play, .309, 4 homers, 14 RBIs. Now the tying run is on, and Zeal will be the hitter. Todd 0 for 2. Runner goes, hit and run on, and a foul out of play. This is the one guy that Bobby Valentine will use with a hit and run more than most, Zeal.
He's an ideal guy to use that hit and run because his natural stroke is to right field. Taking advantage of that hole with Tino Martinez holding Mike Piazza on, and Alfonso Soriano at second base cheating right here. That opens up everything on the right side. Bobby also likes to hit and run 2 pitches in a row.
Just a little high. 1 ball, 1 strike. The signs from Valentine out to John Stearns, the third base coach, who was involved in that play at third with Piazza running. Zeal was at the plate. Hit the ball over the head of Spencer and right off the wall. The ball trickled through the infield, and Piazza, trying to tie the game, was thrown out at the plate. That's a strike, and it's 1-2. Zeal started the day hitting .283. May 20th, he's hitting .367, but the production numbers aren't there as he tries to figure out Messina. Zeal, one of the more dependable RBI men in the National League. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And a chopper. Messina, the throw to second for 1. Can't turn him as they get just the lead man on a 1-4 force out. And now Zeal runs the bases. He's at first with 1 away.
That's a terrific play by Mike Messina. Most pitchers would not even attempt to go to second base, but Messina knows who's running at first. And a good takeout slide by Mike Piazza to make sure.
And now Messina gets a visit from Tino Martinez and Jorge Posada. One thing Messina is doing today, which is deadly important to the Yankees, is giving them innings in his start today. The Yankees have been wearing out their bullpen. Ramiro Mendoza's now on that list with as much work as he's been getting this past week. Mike Stanton all year. Mariano Rivera all year. And Messina's pitched into the 7th and still has very good stuff. Messina has only thrown 72 pitches as he works here in the 7th, 1 on, 1 out.
Economics.
Shinjo is 2 for 2. 2 of the 4 Mets hits. Fastball, foul ball, strike 1. Three total runs scoring today, and the main story of the afternoon is pitching. Messina and Apier. Unearned run, the difference in this game. The 0-1 pitch is fouled back. 0-2. Today's game summary brought to you by John Deere. Bernie Williams, his 10th home run, leading off the 2nd. Mike Messina later followed with a 2-out RBI hit up the middle, his 5th career ribeye, and then it's Ventura with a home run in the 4th inning. They get a 2-1 game, and then the pitching. Messina outstanding. Apier just as good.
A ribeye, huh?
Steaks.
Yes, sir.
Shinjo at the plate. The 0-2. Was that the knuckle curve? 1-2.
Messina dropping down a little bit to Shinjo, and the reason that he does, he tries to get him to bend a little bit with that front side, and he does. Pitch was low, however.
On 1-2, Shinjo strikes out.
That's what pitchers talk about when right-handed batters from a right-handed pitcher, they have that limp front side. This pitch shredding the corner. You can see Shinjo giving a little bit. That's all it takes. Pinpoint fastball from Osina.
So now 2 out, and it's Desi Relaford. Relaford 0 for 2. Fly to right, pop to third. Base hit. Zeal will turn and go to third. And it's first and third, 2 out on a hit by Relaford.
That's why a lot of pitchers don't throw changeups with Tino Martinez or their first baseman holding the runner on, because the changeup is the easiest pitch to pull. Straight change. Martinez holding against Zeal at first base. And because of that, Tino's dive comes up empty.
And because of that, we're going to have a pinch hitter for Ray Ordonez. Lenny Harris is going to come off the bench and bat for the Mets. Trying to do the most with a 2-out RBI situation. He leads the major leagues this season with 12 pinch hits. He is 4th on the all-time list with 142 successful pinch hits, and he is only 8 hits shy of the all-time major league record held by Manny Mota. First and third, 2 out. Tying run is 90 feet away. And a breaking ball for a strike.
Lenny, one of the first players in the Mets clubhouse today, and he asked me, he said, does Rivera have teeth on those pitches? Chewed right through my bat last night. That's what Joe was talking about. 8 hits behind Manny Mota.
One ball, 1 strike. The Mets notes have Harris with 142 career pinch hits. Trying to tie this game with a hit. That is a jam pop-up and caught by Posada. What a play! Over the billboard behind home plate, reaching almost up against the screen. And a huge out picked up by Jorge Posada. The Mets strand 2, they've left 4, and after 7 they still trail by 1. What a play by Jorge Posada, Tim. I know you can appreciate what that takes to make that catch.
Well, the ball didn't have a lot of hang time, and you hear about base runners getting good jumps. Had Posada not gotten a good jump on this ball, he doesn't make this play. Immediately going hard at the beginning allows him to pull up and make a fine play in a big situation for the Yankees.
Tell you who else got a good jump was Mark Wegner, the home plate umpire, to make sure that that ball did not come down the screen, and it was a clean catch by Posada.
He got back there in a hurry. Both of them did. Fine play by Posada.
Posada turned around to show the umpire the ball, and he had to find him. He was right behind him. Jorge Velandia just called up from AAA when the Mets put Alfonso on the disabled list, takes over at short. And Paul O'Neill will lead it off against the new pitcher, Dennis Cook. The lefty in the game, Kevin Appier, could not have pitched better. 7 innings, 2 runs, only 1 earned. 5 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, a home run allowed, a hit batsman. And now it's Cook. A 1-1 record on the season for Cook. O'Neill 0 for 3. That was against Appier. Strike 1. ERA over 4. 28th game of the season for Dennis Cook. 8th inning, Yankees batting, and they lead 2-1. One ball, one strike. This is the time to have a left-hander available with this portion of the lineup coming up for the Yankees.
You can see Dennis Cook is batting 9th. And normally it would be a double switch situation. But because Vollandia is inexperienced, Bobby Valentine properly doesn't want to put him in a situation to lead off the bottom of the 8th. So Dennis Cook is in there for no more than 1 inning. There's Vollandia.
And there's a ball to O'Neill, 2-1. Really has turned into a pleasant day here in New York. Had some bad weather around here. Last night the rain stayed away. Yankees won another 1-run game, and nothing new today. 2-1, a 1-run affair, which it has been. And these two teams get together. 2 balls and a strike. O'Neill is jammed, and that's easy for Rutherford. Comes in front of Vollandia, and Jorge says, hey, look, just got back to the big leagues. Let me have a play. Yeah. Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the Braves will be right here at Shea to take on the Mets in an NL East battle. The Diamondbacks take on the Rockies. It all begins with This Week in Baseball next Saturday at 12:30 Eastern and Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area and watch the entire baseball season unfold across the Fox network. Here's Williams. Bernie is already homered left-handed. That came leading off the second. Now batting right-handed, and he hits one off the end of the bat, strike 1.
The outfield is oddly positioned. Benny Agbayani straight away in left field, but look at Shinjo. He's about 5 feet to his left. The gap is in left center. You either play him straight away or give him the left field line. You don't give him left center in this situation. That's double territory.
1 ball, 1 strike. Definitely leaving a big part of the field unoccupied.
What that requires, it requires Dennis Cook to have pinpoint accuracy away to Bernie Williams.
Here's a 1-1. Base hit through the left side. Williams staying hot. 2 out of 4. 1 on, 1 out with Tino Martinez coming up.
Robin Ventura diving for it. The ball stays down, however, and goes under his glove. Ball hit too hard past Robin. Usually if he doesn't catch it, it's a hit.
So 1 on, 1 out. Tino Martinez 0 for 3. He struck out. He's grounded out. He's popped up. Trying to figure out Dennis Cook with Posada on deck. As the Mets do, and as they have done since Bobby Valentine took over with a left-hander on the mound, the first baseman plays off the bag, holding against the runner, almost shielding the runner from the pitcher. And there's another throw over to first. But you have to believe at some point the Yankees will think about starting the runner here. Runner at first, 1 out. And another check on Bernie Williams. It gets away. And Zeal corrals it to keep Williams at first. Boy, that puts a lot of pressure on a first baseman, especially a right-handed throwing first baseman.
Going back quickly, and things like that, I'm surprised things like that don't happen more often because of Todd Zeal trying to find the runner and the ball. Pops out of his glove. Not that he really ever had control of it. Hit the heel of the glove and bounced away, but because Williams was diving back into the bag.
no harm done for the Mets.
Made a little more sense with Olerud, the first baseman. He moved around better, and being a left-handed thrower, it made more sense. Tino Martinez, strike one. Now Armando Benitez is getting loose. You think this team isn't important to the Mets? A pinch hit for Ordonez in the 7th inning with Lenny Harris, their best off the bench. Now they've got Benitez warming up in the 8th inning, down 2-1. And Martinez pops it up. Robin Ventura, 2 out. Batter will be Posada. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without expressed written consent.
Joe, we have seen an awful lot of day game after a night game. Hot and stuffy New York day swings today. Pop-ups the other way. Pop-up that Posada made a nice play on to end the 7th inning was one of those types of swings.
Here is Posada, who popped up in the 4th, but it turned into a double. Sun is out now, and I bet without even looking that Timo Perez has the glasses on his face and not on his hat. They're on. First pitch to Posada. Instead, another check on Williams. And again, the ball gets away, and again, Williams has to stay put. If you're a right-handed throwing first baseman and you're moving back to the bag, I tell you, one of the worst things that can happen is a great pickoff throw.
Well, you have to make the turn that way. You have to turn to your left. You can't turn back to your right. And as we said the first time Zeal missed that ball, you've got to try to think about finding the runner after you catch the ball. And neither time did Todd come up with the ball.
Change of pace and a swing and a miss. If you're the first baseman in that situation, whether it's Zeal or anybody else, you have to read the pitcher's move like the base runner has to read the pitcher's move.
Probably better than the base runner, really.
And as the pitch is being delivered, a lot of the times the first baseman will move toward the bag and open up the right side of the infield.
That's the biggest disadvantage in my view. Like that.
As opposed to a first baseman starting on the bag and when the pitch comes to the plate going toward the bigger part of the field.
You're leaning toward the fatter part of the field. With this particular play, you have more of a tendency to lean toward first base.
We've solved another problem.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike. Posada with 13 home runs. Time called at the plate as Cook took too long. Dennis Cook now, and if there's any trouble, it appears that Benitez will come in, even here in the 8th, with the Mets trailing. Another changeup, and it's 1-2.
Good location for this changeup by Dennis Cook.
The Mets in the bottom of the 8th will have a pinch hitter than Perez and Agbayani. The one thing about not making a double switch, however, when Cook came in, is if Benitez comes in to pitch, they'll have to make a double switch then.
In this inning, you're right. Yeah, right.
And you lose another player. 2-2. Meaning that if Benitez comes in to pitch and you get a rally going, obviously you want Benitez to pitch in the 9th. and he would be due to lead off in the bottom of this 8th inning, as opposed to Volandia coming in. The pitcher was already gone. Volandia could have hit 9th and led off, and the pitcher would be 9 spots away. Here's the 2-2, and it stays 2-2.
Well, I think Bobby's thinking on that is not to have the inexperience of Volandia leading off the 8th inning in a one-run ball game, a game that they need so much and so badly.
Top of the 8th, runner at first, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. So far, they've paid a lot of attention to Bernie Williams, but he has not taken off. Still at first, and now ball 3, and now he will go. Brocious on deck. Benitez in the bullpen, and I have to believe this is the last hitter of the day for Dennis Cook.
That's why your point about the lineup change is so important. This is a key pitch in this ball game.
Hard hit, but right at Volandia. And the inning is over. You're watching Major League Baseball on Fox. Subway Series 2001. Good game. Today's game presented by Radio Shack. As we go to the bottom of the 8th at Shea. 2-1 Yankees.
Saturday Baseball presented by Radio Shack is brought to you by Radio Shack. You've got questions, we've got answers. By Fram, pay a little more now or pay a lot later. By your friends at Mobile, who remind you to use Speed Pass, today's way to pay. And by Miller High Life.
There's a bright orange monster over the stadium today. The Monster.com blimp providing us with great views of Shea Stadium. Monster.com. Job good, life good. Down below, bottom of the 8th inning, and Darrell Hamilton hacking at the first pitch, fouls it away for strike 1. Hamilton pinch hitting for Cook, who went 1 inning, allowed 1 hit. It'll be Hamilton, Perez, and Agbayani against Mike Messina, who is his own setup man today. Although Stanton is getting loose, he has had a ton of work. Maybe getting loose for Mr. Ventura to up 4th in this inning. Cook's work is finished. A 1-1 pitch to Hamilton. Strike 2. Darrell has had a rough season. Against right-handed pitching on the year, hitting only 191. Now Rivera. Those two guys are up just about every day. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2-2. Even in games that in the middle portion of the game, even the late innings, it seemed to be a blowout. The opposition has at least made it close enough to have to use Stanton and Rivera. Over the first 65 games of the season. 2-2 pitch. 3-2.
Thursday's win for the Yankees over the Montreal Expos, an example of what you were talking about. The Yankees had an 8-0 lead. And then Jose Vidro with the 3-run home run in the 7th inning, who ends up ending the game. Rivera.
Hamilton shoots one to right center. It's the strike the Mets were looking for. O'Neill flips to Williams. It's a double no matter what happens out there, and a good start for the Mets.
Hamilton working Messina to a 3-2 count, getting a predictable pitch. O'Neill flipping off to Bernie Williams. And now Alfonso Soriano and Scott Brocious coming out to talk to Messina to see what they're going to do about the predictable bunt. You know that Perez is going to be bunting right here.
And that puts pressure on this defense, not to get Hamilton going to third, but to get Perez going to first as well. Tying run at second with nobody out in the bottom of the 8th. That's foul. Would it be fair to say that one trap that Perez can't fall into here is trying to make the perfect bunt for the hit? His first obligation is to get Hamilton over to third.
And the way you do that, the best way you do that is have Brocious field the ball. He tried to do that on the first pitch. Try to make the third baseman field the ball, and obviously then there's no one to cover third.
And he bunts it in the air. 1 out. He was 4 for 4 in that situation. He's now 4 for 5, and he picked the Yankees to pop up a bunt against here in the 8th inning.
Cheers last October. Booze 6 months later.
How about that pitch?
Pitch was about the bill high, the bill of the cap.
Now it's up to Agbayani and/or Ventura.
It's what experienced pitchers try to do in bunting situations. Pitch guys high fastballs. Those high fastballs are popped up more than any other pitch.
Benny Agbayani hitless today. He's hit 3 home runs this season, has only 12 RBIs. Tying run at second, 1 out. Ball 1. With Ventura on deck and Stanton getting ready in the bullpen and Rivera ready after Stanton in case Piazza were to bat this inning, this might be Messina's last hitter. Especially considering Ventura's already homered against Messina today. Tying run at second, 1 out. And it's 2-0. Hamilton a leadoff double. Perez popped up trying to bunt. Agbayani grounds to short. Jeter 2 out. We'll see if there's a pitching change coming. Here comes Torrey. You have to believe here comes Stanton. Yep. A leadoff double. A poor bunt. A ground out, 2 out in the inning, and Stanton will enter yet again for the Yankees, who are up by 1.
Cena working 7 2/3 innings. He walked no one and struck out 4. Darrell Hamilton, who led off the inning with a double, is still at second base in this 2-1 ball game. There you have Mike Stanton. And in the wings, Mariano Rivera. We're going to show you a graphic that shows the difference in the workload last season and this season. 8 more innings of work and 8 more appearances for Rivera. And for Mike Stanton, 10 innings more has he worked. And that's really the key. It's not the appearances. It's the number of innings that are up during his appearances, with the absence of Jeff Nelson, who is now with Seattle.
And just to throw this stat out there, in the past week, the Yankees have released about $3 million worth of salary in Henry Rodriguez and Joe Oliver. The reported difference, the money that Nelson wanted and the money the Yankees were offering, is $1.5 million. The Yankees will tell you, however, that Nelson never had any designs on coming back to New York, going back to Seattle, and he's a vital part of their bullpen, and they do miss him dearly. Brian Cashman sweating through this one on a warm but pleasant day at Shea. Bottom of the 8th, tying run at second, 2 out, and it's Stanton in the game to work to Ventura. Ventura is homered for the only Mets run of the day. The heart of the order will bat again before the end of the day for the Mets. It appears that Benitez will come in and pitch in the ninth. And we'll likely see Rivera for the Yankees. Runner at second, the tying run, 2 out, and the ball inside. Earlier, 4th inning. Robbins' 14th of the year. Runner at second, 2 out, 1 ball, no strikes on Ventura. Breaking ball had him frozen. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's what makes Stanton so tough. You just can't predict what he's going to throw. A 1-0 curveball right on the corner. And the knees buckle Ventura. But Ventura certainly no out man. A 283 hitter against left-handed pitching.
Mets ask him for a big hit. And he rifles one foul. We went after that pitch. It was up, and the count now 1-2.
After the curveball, the high fastball fouled off. Now Ventura in the hole.
Hamilton was standing in that same spot with nobody out. Now he's at second with 2 out. And now Ventura is set up at a ball and 2 strikes. That'll get out of play. First batters have not fared well at all against Mike Stanton this season. 4th best in the American League. Opponents hitting 100 against him. First guy that he faces. Yankees leading it 2-1. Bottom of the 8th here at Shea Stadium. Tying run at second for the Mets, 2 out. Messina, the starter on the right. Stanton, the only man he will face, misses low, and it's 2-2. Tying run at second. Ventura has driven in 35 runs this season. And he gets under one into center. Plenty of room for Williams, and another missed opportunity for the Mets. A leadoff double from Hamilton, and the next 3 go in order. And yet again, Mike Stanton does his job out of the Yankee bullpen. 2-1 Yanks after 8. We're back at Shea, and all of a sudden we're back in 2000. They're playing Who Let the Dogs Out here at Shea Stadium. You thought it was buried.
Who Let the Dogs Out got them to the World Series, but didn't carry them through the World Series.
In fact, we had the thrill of watching the Baja men give a live performance of that here at Shea Stadium.
Yes, we did.
October. A 3-2 record for Benitez. 10 saves. Home runs a little frightening. 6 home runs. Brocious will start it. It'll be Brocious, Soriano, and a pinch hitter. Oakland and San Francisco getting underway, and we may be switching and showing you a Bonds at bat. That's into right center field. Shinjo to his left, a hop and a catch. Tom Brenneman, Steve Lyons standing by out in San Francisco. Bonds has 36, and he's coming up.
We welcome those of you watching the Subway Series in New York, the Yankees and the Mets, and many watching around the country. Tom Brenneman along with Steve Lyons, and you're looking at Barry Bonds. 36 home runs, off to the quickest home run pace in Major League history. He hit number 36 last night, the 67th game of the year. Mark McGwire held the previous mark when in 1998 he hit his 36th home run, the 79th game of the year. High fly ball, and this one will stay in the ballpark. Terrence Long's got it, and that will end the inning. So Bonds goes quietly as
little fly ball into center. Bonds 0 for 1, and that game is scoreless after 1 in San Francisco. This is Soriano, 1 ball 1 strike, and that's strike 2. Lineup changes, pinch hitters, bullpenners that are left. And it's Soriano now with one of the newer Yankees, and they've been shuffling their roster over this past week. Darren Bragg waiting to hit next. He started the season for the Mets. Soriano stays alive. There's Bragg. He's been with the Red Sox. He's been with the Cardinals. He's been with the Rockies. He's been with the Mets. He's now with the Yankees. 1 out, nobody on. 1 ball 2 strikes on Soriano. 2-2. The Mets in the 9th inning, and they'll be taking on Rivera. Will have the heart of their order. The interesting at bat will be the first at bat. Piazza due to lead it off. Mariano Rivera, who this week has worked Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, will work Saturday. 3 balls 2 strikes. Last night, though, he pitched a perfect 9th inning, and it took him less than 10 pitches to get through it. Joe Torre has put the pedal down when he has had the late inning lead with both Stanton and Rivera. 3-2 pitch. Ball 4 misses badly, and Soriano is down to first with a 1-out walk. That'll bring in Darren Bragg for one spectacular summer night. The greatest collection of baseball superstars will gather in Seattle. Jeter, Martinez, Bonds, Randy Johnson, American and National Leagues. They'll collide Tuesday, July 10th for the 72nd Major League Baseball All-Star Game. This year, baseball's biggest moments unfold right here on Fox.
Number 17.
How about the health of Pedro Martinez? Not on the disabled list, but missing a start, bothered by a weak shoulder. Here's Darren Bragg.
Darren Bragg, one of 69 players to play for both the Mets and the Yankees. May be interested in knowing that yesterday marked the 24th anniversary of a guy who played for the Mets and the Yankees. It was a trade after the Tom Seaver trade when Dave Kingman was traded for Bobby Valentine, and then Kingman ended up in September. He played only 8 games for the Yankees, a time in which he hit 4 home runs and helped the Yankees to get into postseason play.
Throw to first, and Soriano gets back. The Mets have to be bothered by Soriano at first. Alfonso has stolen 19 bases, and the Yankees obviously are running when they get the opportunity, and this is the time to run. 1 out, Bragg at the plate, Knobloch on deck. Combination of Benitez and Piazza ought to be easy to work on if you're Soriano.
And now Darren Bragg is ahead in the count. If Soriano does run, he should take a pitch. I know what you're saying about Benitez. Benitez is so tough to handle. He's slow to the plate, but you can't center the pitches. That's what makes him so tough to hit.
There goes Soriano, and there's a fly ball into left. Coming to get it, Agbayani. 2 up.
Well, that's something that a left-handed hitter can't see. You hear that, there he goes. I mean, Bragg should be taking right there, but if you're a third base coach, you can't get the take and the steal sign at the same time. Now, it's possible that Soriano was running on his own, But had Bragg taken the pitch, that gives Soriano a chance to get to second base. And in the same breath, it doesn't put Bragg in the hole. It's 1-1. He can hit with a runner in scoring position.
Now it's Knobloch, and he should be running again. Two to one, the Yankees lead. It has been that way since the bottom of the fourth when Ventura went deep against Messina. Both starters terrific here today, Apier and Messina. And again, Benitez falls behind Knobloch. And again, some of the attention by the Mets will be paid to Soriano over at first.
One of the first things you learn if you're a base runner is never lead off a base with your hands on your knees. Never. And the reason for that, in order to get to second, how many guys have you seen steal second base with their hands on their knees? That's a tough way to run, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So the point is that you have to take your hands off your knees before you take your first step. And often it's bang, bang at second base. So the hands should never be on your knees when you're leading off a base.
And a check on the runner.
Kind of a funny picture, isn't it? The guy trying to steal second base with his hands on his knees.
It is. Like Cirque du Soleil. There he goes. Piazza, not a chance. And a good play by Relaford to back up and keep Soriano at second base. Stolen base, that's number 20 for Alfonso Soriano.
Even though the throw was made, it's an uncontested stolen base. Had the throw been on the money, no chance to get Soriano. Knobloch, the base stealer in his own right, took 2 pitches to get the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Now he's hitting in the hole, but he's hitting with the Yankee on in scoring position.
The 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Again in the bottom of the 9th inning. Why it is crucial for Benitez to keep it 2-1. They'll be 1 swing away from tying it with Piazza, Zeal, and Shinjo's come up with some big hits in the late innings for the Mets. Still 2-2 on Knobloch. That'll be handled by Perez. He's there. Benitez gets through a scoreless 9th, and that sets it up for the bottom half. Heart of the order for the Mets, and it starts with Piazza. A battle with Mariano Rivera when we come back to Shea. Well, it's time for the bottom of the 9th inning, and it's time for a rematch of the final out of the 2000 World Series. That fly ball to center. Bernie Williams on the other end. Piazza was the tying run at the plate. That ended it. Yankees win the series 4-1. The Mets and their fans wondering what might have been. 26th World Championship for the Yankees. And Rivera has been on 4 of those teams.
The one thing about Mariano Rivera that a lot of people don't hear is how many times he is willing to take the ball. Joe Torre and Don Zimmer have both told me that over the years, in the 6 years that Rivera has been a Yankee, about 5 times he has said, I don't think I can throw today. Think about that. A night game last night, pitched an inning, and he's a strikeout pitcher. He's a pitcher that runs a lot of deep counts. He gets very few early outs, meaning on the first, second, third pitch. But he is never shy about taking the ball.
And he is not always perfect.
Right.
You can go back to the Monday game on June 4th. That home run hit by Manny Ramirez. That tied the game. Then on the 12th, Michael Barrett right down the line and into the seats to tie the game. The astonishment of Mariano Rivera.
That was a shocking defeat last Tuesday at Yankee Stadium. That game won by Mark Smith in the top of the 12th inning on a disputed home run, a ball that proved to be barely foul down the left field line.
One of the biggest moves of these Yankees during their championship run was letting Wetland go.
Yeah.
And tapping Rivera on the shoulder and making him the closer, because in the postseason there has been nobody better. It's that type atmosphere here today, even though it's the middle of June. 1-run Yankee lead, and Piazza leads it off and takes a ball. Piazza 1 out of 3 today. Zeal and Shinjo will follow, but this is the big battle to start the bottom of the ninth. Two and 0, and it looked like Piazza was taking a strike. Two and 1. The Mets this past week finally put a mini winning streak together, winning on Sunday in Tampa Bay, winning the first 2 games of the Baltimore series, one in dramatic fashion. They're in danger of dropping their 3rd in a row now as Piazza is jammed a bit. He flies it into right center field, and Bernie Williams will go get it. 1 out. Piazza could not extend his arms, and he is the first casualty here in the 9th inning.
That is exactly what happened. As Rivera pitches Piazza inside, and when you pitch power hitters inside, in effect, you take their power away.
Still carried pretty well into right center field to show you how strong Piazza is, but it was well short, and now it's Zeal. 3 home runs on the season, 0 for 3 today. Strike 1. A couple of finals from around baseball. Kansas City wins at Milwaukee 4-2. St. Louis at home over the White Sox 8-3. Yankees leading here 2-1 in the 9th with 1 out. And an 0-2 count on Zeal. And Zeal gets into it with Mark Wegner, the home plate umpire.
That's a design pitch. You can see Posada sitting inside. That's a cut fastball inside to a right-hander, something Rivera has done the last year and a half.
They set up inside. Zeal is still alive as he got a piece.
What that does, it keeps right-handed batters from diving out over the plate at that cutter on the outside. Keep him honest by working the cutter back inside. Was Shinjo on deck.
Zeal trying to deliver a blast, and he spoils a pitch. After Zeal, it'll be Shinjo, as Tim said. Shinjo has had a couple of big home runs in the late innings for the Mets this season. Right now it's Zeal, and he grounds to short. That's easy for Jeter as he stays down on it. 2 out, and the Mets are down to their final out. Shinjo will bat against Rivera. You go back to last night. Say it. Good morning. Good afternoon. And sayonara. 2 out, nobody on, and it is up to Shinjo. By the way, we've had 2 home runs hit in today's game, and that means another $60,000 has been raised for prostate cancer research. Ball 1 to Shinjo. We thank you as always for helping keep Dad in the game. Bernie Williams hit the first, 30,000. Ventura the next. Here comes a 1-0 pitch to Shinjo. Base hit. And this game breathes on. Desi Relaford will be the hitter.
You saw that shot of Bernie Williams looking in the Yankee dugout. That was Lee Mazzilli telling Bernie to play deeper than he normally would to prevent a double. Now he's looking over at Chuck Knobloch and telling Chuck about the same thing. Everything in mind. We'll see if Shinjo tries to steal second base here.
Well, you've got Relaford at the plate now. Desi a hit in today's game, hitting .291. Mark Johnson, a power hitter, waiting to pinch hit on deck. But 2 out in the inning. And a ball just inside to Relaford.
Rivera's very difficult to run against, and the reason for that is Posada has a strong arm, yes, but Rivera's best pitches are up in the strike zone. So most of his pitches are easier for Posada to handle and throw.
A 1-0. 2-0. Desi Relaford with 3 home runs on the year. Takes ball 3. And Relaford will take at least 1 strike. Three and 1. A 3-0 cutter from Mariano Rivera. Tying run at first, 2 out, bottom of the 9th inning. Mets down 2-1. 3-1 to Relaford. 2 on, 2 out. And Mark Johnson will be the pinch hitter for Vollandia. Johnson in his last 9 games, 7 out of 19 with 2 homers and 7 RBIs. Former Pittsburgh Pirate, and he has been good off the bench this season for Bobby Valentine.
And this is by far his toughest assignment yet, because Rivera pitches to Johnson's weakness on the hands from the letters to the belt.
Tying run is a hit away. Winning run is at first. And Johnson trying to unload strike 1, and that was in on the hands.
Yeah, Mark's got a very long swing, and anybody with a long swing against Rivera can't get the bat head out far enough because the ball's on top of them too quickly.
Shinjo and Relaford, a hit and a walk. And trouble for Rivera. Now it's 0-2. Same pitch, same result. Yankees trying to win their 13th game in interleague play against the Mets, against 7 losses. Yankee fans to their feet. They want it to end right here, and the Mets fans ought to join them standing, hoping for a blast from Mark Johnson. 2 on, 2 out, 2-1 Yankees in the 9th. Back to Rivera. Knocks it down. Flips it to first, and the Yankees have beaten the Mets again. A 2-1 final. The last 11 games between these two, including the World Series, have been decided by 2 runs or less, and the Yankees have won 9 of them. A 3-hour, 15-minute game. And we will give you our feat of the day, brought to you by Lotrimin. And we'll talk defense. Brocious with a diving stop. to take a hit away. That was back in the 5th inning. And then Jorge Posada with runners at the corners. Yankees up by a run, 2 out, made this play back against the backstop to retire Harris and the Mets. That was in the 7th.
That was the play of the game in my view, Joe.
And the pitching outstanding on both sides today. A 2-1 final. And again, the Mets are close. And again, the Mets come up short. For more information on today's game and for the latest information on Major League Baseball, go to foxsports.com. For Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck. So long from New York. You've been watching Fox Sports coverage of Major League Baseball. This Interleague Day presented by Radio Shack. Fox is your home of the 2001 Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Again, the Mets and Yankees get together. Not October, the middle of June. And again, it's the New York Yankees, the world champions, beating the Mets. Doing it with pitching, defense, timely hitting. And the difference in the game, a 2-out RBI hit by Mike Messina. There it is. That was the 2nd run, and that's the difference. From all of us here at Shea, so long.
Home to Super Bowl 36. The NASCAR Winston Cup Series. And this July, Major League Baseball's 72nd All-Star Game. This has been a presentation of Fox Sports.